Hello and welcome to today's See You Next Thursday. Sorry, I'll start again. Hello and welcome to this week's See You Next Thursday. Even in a week where Billy considers entering the race to buy Man United, as he figures out by the time the Glazers accept a bid, he can easily have raised a few billion. And Seamus has begun to learn how ages work after we explained to him why Jadon Sancho is still only 23. So I was going to say welcome to you both, but obviously Billy's running late, so it's just Seamus at the moment. So how are you, mate?
You, you son of a bitch.
What? What?
You brought something that was not even part of the After Dark. You had to
You
tell
asked,
him.
you asked it on, you said,
Oh,
on
but
our
come on.
WhatsApp group,
Come
you
on.
said, how is he
I
still only
said, how is he
23?
still.
Yeah,
Yeah, I said, how is he still 23? I thought he was older.
yeah, but like,
If
you know,
they.
that's what I'm
No, but
saying, we're
the
trying to explain to
insinuation.
you.
No,
We
come
have
on.
to explain
But the
something to
insinuation.
you,
No, no,
that's it.
no, no.
It's not our fault you can't understand basic maths. How many
No,
years work?
one mistake, 3, 4, I don't know how many years ago,
Bless.
and that the stigma still sticks to me. Come on.
And
My
this is,
point was, he's
this
been around for so long. He's been talked about for so long.
Yeah,
I thought
I mean, you still
he
can't
would
figure
be
out how
older.
you can't even figure out how I'm only 21. I mean, that's the thing, you know. There's obviously a problem there with your maths. Just because
No,
my
you're
daughter
only.
turns 22 this year doesn't mean doesn't stop me being 21, mate. It's how it works. Surely you understand these things.
You're more like 21 leap years, if anything.
It's actually, yeah, that would be about correct, I think.
Well, but the thing is, like, the only 21 you're gonna see now is the 21 leap years, if you're lucky. Or unlucky, I don't know which way you see it.
Oh, at my age, anything's a bonus, mate. Just glad to be waking up in the morning. So I wonder if today we can beat our concurrent views record from last week of -1. 'Cause I think that might take some doing. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
but
we
that's not
can.
impossible. That's not impossible. Yeah, but maybe that means we've hit rock bottom, so only way is up.
I doubt it. We can probably find a way to take it lower. We always manage it in the past. Just when you're thinking no one could do worse, we manage it. Oh! Rob's in the chat, but not in the. Why isn't he signed in? He could have been on the. He could have been on the pod. Oh, see, he's avoiding you, mate. That's what it is. Such a letdown. Anyway, should we actually start doing the pod rather than talking about how you don't know how to do maths and stuff?
Nah, okay. How have you been?
So, oh, good, mate, good. But right, what do you want to start with then? Is there anything?
I guess this results roundup, like,
Yep,
obviously, confirmation. One team, we've got one team that's gonna be relegated.
yep. Southampton are gone. It's hardly a shock, was it? They've been
Yeah,
terrible.
like they've been bottom for most of the season. Bottom three for most of the season and never looked like getting out.
Actually, if we're going to talk
And
about,
yet, and yet, I will say it again, and I've been saying it every week. They've got some very good players. Like
yeah, I've got to.
for Premier League, they can't be like I just don't understand how they're like so bad as a group.
Um, Managers mostly. They pick bad ones. I mean, Nathan Jones. I was just saying that before we started. I just thought about how bad he is. When like long ball merchant, you buy a load of players from Man City, youngsters, all like to play the ball on the ground, and then you do this. You know, you go and bring in a long ball merchant manager. It makes no sense. Try, you know, people will say that about Leeds with
Bielsa
what's it?
and Marsh.
No, I was saying, but bringing in Allardyce, but he's not a long ball merchant. I know he can go long, he can look to play quickly, but he doesn't. It's not his entire ethos isn't built on just hoof the ball in the air to a big forward. When he's got a big forward up there, he'll use him, but that's not all he does. You know what I mean? He tends to play to the team's. Tends to try and play to the team's strength. If he's just got a, if he's just handed the team, he'll try and he'll try and play it forward quickly. Yes, but I mean, he's not like Nathan Jones, where he's just a true long ball merchant. He's an old school 80s English manager who just wants to hoof the ball up and battle for it. And that's what they brought in, and it makes no sense. You've got a team that's got really good football inside, youngsters who are good footballers, and then you do that. And no wonder it failed miserably. But, yeah. Sorry, what?
Yeah, I understand. Like, I know, like, we can point to the managers and all, but still, they should be doing much better. They shouldn't have been in a position where they had to hire him to begin with.
No, they made a lot of mistakes. Well, we've been saying about Hasenhüttl for years. He's just it didn't make any sense why they kept him for so long. But they did, and that's ended up in a lot of trouble because of it. If they'd got rid of him in the summer like they should have done, the end of a season when they could have planned properly for their succession, then instead they're scratching around, jumped on someone who was having a little bit of success at the time, and they've ended up in a mess. And it's just gone from bad to worse as well.
Yeah, I'm sad. Like, they're gonna lose a lot of players, I'm pretty sure. I know they've got new owners and all, but possibly will.
Do you reckon that there'll be a mad scramble for James Ward-Prowse? Because a lot of people seem to love him.
I would like right now. I would think he'd be Declan Rice's replacement at West Ham.
Really?
If I was gonna guess, yeah.
You think? Wow. Why?
I'm saying West Ham. I'm saying West Ham are gonna go for him. I'm not saying he's as good or anything. I can see him getting to a better team.
Wow, just seems bizarre because he can't defend. In fact, I'm not actually sure what he can do apart from take a fantastic set piece. Other than that,
he can run around. He can run around.
But even that, he does it like half the speed of anyone else. And he can pass backwards well. Can do a lot of passing sideways and backwards.
But you do remember, like, he is one of the top 8 players.
Oh, of course.
12 months. Just 12 months ago.
That's true, yeah. Top 8 players in, like, we still
Premier League, 12 months ago.
Yeah, we still don't know how that came about. That's still never been explained to me. But yeah, they went down. They didn't even put up a fight. That's the thing. I mean, they lost 2-0 to Fulham at home, and it wasn't even like it wasn't a result that was ever in doubt, was it? It's quite embarrassing, really. If you're a Southampton fan, you must be absolutely disgusted with what's gone on this season.
Yeah, you would think so.
Why is Rob talking to you on there rather than getting his ass onto the pod and joining in? Miserable guy, I tell you. He's asking you questions on there, but not on here.
Where is he asking questions?
On the live chat.
Oh, bloody hell, he's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's on YouTube,
but he's not on here. You misery.
Oh, maybe he just wants to make sure there is nothing like.
I think his missus.
You know how my conversation with him can go.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. His missus has obviously blocked him from coming on the pod because she's just afraid of losing him to you.
Wait, hang on a minute. Are we sure it's not actually Mrs. Rob trying to spy on him and us and
Yeah.
everyone.
Check out the competition. Like could be. I think you might have a point there, and that because the question's far too intelligent for Rob.
Yeah, that's too much
Too much.
elegant. Too
Yeah.
much elegant English.
Yeah. Too refined. That's got to be his missus. You're right. I think you've got it right. You've spotted her. Well done, mate. She's probably now going, oh, damn. And quickly hiding the evidence so he doesn't find out. Anyway, should we move on to the next, the rest of the games? We've got Leeds, Newcastle.
Yeah, it was a draw. It was a great result for Liverpool.
It was an odd game.
Maybe LADC is actually not any bad than Guardiola and Klopp and the likes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to say Leeds shouldn't be down there. They've come in and they've just bought such bad players. It's bizarre. It's like they were deliberately trying to sabotage themselves with their transfer business, take themselves down. But like, yeah, he's come in, he's just solidified them. But they still conceded 2.
Yeah, but I would say too little, too late.
Bit of fight. Still time in this league. It's going
Oh,
to the wire.
two
Isn't
games. 2 games left for them, isn't it? Is it 2 or 3? Yeah, but still not enough.
They've got 2 left, haven't they?
Yeah, there's 2
Newcastle
games
have got
left.
3 left, haven't they?
Yeah, we don't need
And Brighton have got 4 left still.
Yeah, but Brighton don't matter in this equation.
Not in the
Brighton, we
relegation
were
battle, but they can
yeah.
still
I'm
get
saying,
into the top 4. Yeah, if you two collapse, Newcastle and Man United collapse, and Liverpool
no, but I'm saying
or Liverpool,
no, I'm
2
saying
or
for
3.
the relegation.
Oh
One
yeah,
at a
sorry,
time.
yeah.
Come on, hang
Sorry, I
on,
didn't
one at
realise
a
we were
time.
talking about the relegation here. Yeah, sorry, yeah. But Everton, it's Everton.
Everton
Forest
are the ones in trouble.
and
Forest, they look, they
and
look,
Leeds. Yeah,
they look safe.
yeah. I really wouldn't want to. I really wouldn't want to put money on it at the moment, no, would you? Not the way this season's been going.
Well, to keep the
I mean, Leicester still got a chance. I know they've.
and the
They look finished.
it's mathematically possible. That's why they're not officially relegated, but
Mm,
possible is different from probable.
I know, but they're only 2 points behind Everton. It takes 1 win. They've got 2 games to get 1 win, and Everton failed to get a point, and that's it changed. But even if Everton get 1 point and they win 1, their goal difference is much better. So, no,
No, I thought we were talking
Everton.
about catching Forest.
Oh no, I was saying, I think Forest. The only way Forest will go down is if Leeds and Everton go above them. I don't think Leicester will finish above Forest. I think Leicester can do is 17th. I do think I'm with you. I do think Forest are, look safe, but this season it's just, it's insane, isn't it? Let's be honest.
With regards to Forest, what I'm thinking is I can't see 2 from the 3 of Everton, Leeds, and Leicester getting
No, I
so
can't.
much better results than them.
I'm with you on
If
that.
if it was like okay, Leeds are on 31 and the Forest are on 31, there's no team in between.
Hmm.
I can say the goal difference Forest have worse one, so maybe one win they can lose and all, but
I think you're right, but
yeah.
But if I was Forest, I wouldn't want to think of it that way. Is what I was trying to say.
Obviously, if you're the manager, if you're the team, you would say let's try and win our next game, and we're basically safe. Not basically, we're obviously gonna be safe with a win. but I'm saying like 34th might be enough
I think this. I
at
think.
the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they've got enough. But like, yeah, I wouldn't want to. It's just one of those seasons where you just don't know, though. At the end of the day, it's really
Most
annoying.
of the season is like that. We say this, that, and all, but ultimately, it's one or two teams just go on go on and get an unexpected result right
Exactly, and
at the
it
end.
changes everything all of a sudden. It only takes one result because it's so close as well for it to change a lot. I mean, you only have to look at the
Oh,
top. I mean, you've gone from being miles ahead of Liverpool to just 1 point and one game ahead after being strolling away from them.
yeah,
It's,
but our next game is at home. It's been our away form
yeah, you'd expect Man
that's been
United
a
to do it.
huge issue.
It's Newcastle that might, that you'd have to be thinking to be the ones that have got the biggest chance of messing up, innit? You'd
Yeah,
think
because they've got.
on
I'm
paper.
just looking at the fixture, and they've got Brighton,
Yeah.
Newcastle have Brighton next, Leicester fighting for their life.
Yeah, on
But
paper theirs looks harder.
but having said like Leicester fighting for their life, they weren't.
they,
They
they
didn't
just
look
look,
like a team
yeah.
fighting for their life against Liverpool.
No, they just look like a team that had already given up and gone home. It reminded me of the season after they won the league, where they just couldn't be asked, the players. That's what it felt like.
Oh, hang on. Chelsea have got a role to play. Chelsea play both us and Newcastle.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So,
you
so
still.
there is a chance. Oh, come on. There is a chance Chelsea lose to us and do us a favor by beating Newcastle. Or vice versa, beat us and then lose to Newcastle.
I honestly.
Or beat us both.
I
Or
honestly
more
would
realistically, lose to
lose to
both.
both. Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to get a point against either of you, to be honest. But they've got the quality of players there to do so.
I always say every week, there is quality of player there. The
Mm.
player quality isn't like just one game. You never know what happens.
Yeah, exactly. One game they could just put it together and get lucky.
Yeah, or maybe Lampard just shows his undoubted quality,
Yeah.
genius,
Well,
brilliance,
yeah,
expertise.
because we're always told how highly intelligent he is and how much he knows about football. But like, yeah, I've yet to see any freaking evidence of that.
Yeah, I'm also intelligent and I also talk a lot about football.
Are you? I mean,
No,
you don't even
I'm
know
just
what.
trying to make a point. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
stating
think
a fact. I'm saying
you're
you can
probably
say that those things. There's difference.
I could say that about you, but I wouldn't, and I don't think anybody would ever say that about you. To be honest, talk a lot about football, they'd say all the time, but I'm not sure anybody would suggest you're intelligent. But having said that, if you put yourself in a football dressing room among footballers, Premier League footballers, you would seem highly intelligent. It must be said, because they're not the brightest. They're not the brightest bunch, are they? Let's be honest. So maybe that's where
Hey,
it's.
I can speak decent enough English and write English. That's more than enough.
That's more than most footballers can manage. And that's the English ones. I mean, you've heard Harry Maguire speak.
I've heard Michael Owen speak,
Oh, no, I don't even want
and
to.
no, it's just very hard
Actually,
and fast rule for me now. It's a policy. If he is one of the pundits, then I don't wanna. I don't want no part of it. I actually feel my brain cells dying. And I'm
it
not trying to be
sound
funny. I actually feel like something's going wrong in my head if I listen to him
the
doing his
sound has to
punditry.
go off. The sound has to go off if he's on punditry. Otherwise, I spend my time just shouting at him rather than watching the game.
Oh, if he is the pundit, then the channel changes.
Yeah.
If he's the commentator, then you're stuck with it. But if he's the pundit, okay, next one.
Yeah.
How
I
does he make a living? How does he make a living with by talking?
I have no idea.
Who the
No
hell
idea.
pays? Who the hell pays him to talk?
Because he's got no charisma whatsoever. He's not interesting. He's so boring. I mean, there's just nothing about the guy that makes him, makes you want to switch on to watch him. You literally, you see how he's doing it, and you do want to switch over immediately. I really don't
I
understand.
always do that. I always do that. I never understand.
You've got to wonder how he keeps getting jobs. I agree with you, because makes no
And
sense.
he can't even create controversy. That's the thing. If he was controversial and all that, he was at least he gets the views for people, and maybe that's why he gets the gigs. But no,
That's
not
it.
a single thing.
Is that there is nothing about him that suggests he's worth having in the job. He just seems to be someone who drags it down rather than builds it up.
Yeah, like we've said the Henri Carragher Richards clips among us, right? The
Mm.
different they can create at least they can create content. At least they can create 5 minutes, 2 minutes, like short contents where you can enjoy stuff. With him, there's nothing. You can't create headlines with Michael Owen. I don't know. I don't know why the fuck we're talking about Michael Owen.
No, I forgot. What were we talking about? Yes, should we go back to? Should we just go back to the
Oh,
results?
Lampard. Oh, it
Yeah,
was the Lampard thing.
yeah.
Ah.
How you're a genius compared to Lampard. That's right. That was what we started on.
No more like how Lampard is a genius compared to your everyday footballer.
Oh yeah, true.
Not genius, intelligent.
Yeah,
Let's not twist the words.
yeah. So anyway, so as we just move on, yeah, Chelsea could have a role to play. I mean, they've already had a role to play. They let Forest get a draw against them when they should have put that to bed. But Forest are getting some good results there, but away form has been appalling. So to not
How many
not beat them.
how many new players were there on the field? That's my question.
Do you know what? I don't actually know off the top of my head, but like I think pretty much quite a few of them. The Nottingham Forest fans absolutely rave about that Felipe they brought in, the Brazilian.
Yeah, they can rave about him, but my question still stands. Like, I guess Johnson was there last season.
Yeah, but
Brennan
was he on the
Johnson, and
bench? Doesn't he start on the bench now?
I don't know.
I'm
I
pretty
don't know,
sure
but
each in recent games. I'm pretty sure from what I've been following of them, they've switched to a back three, and he comes off the bench in the second half now as a impact sub. To use his pace.
I'm just gonna check who started for them because both of them have done a lot of shopping. Chelsea
Yeah,
and Forest.
true. Oh, you mean both teams? Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
never
I
thought of
was like, combine. If
Chelsea
you
as well.
combine them, how many would they have got? How many players would they've got?
I don't think many
Okay,
Chelsea.
Why is Edward Mendy starting? Mendy, Monty, however you
Yeah,
call it. Uh, they've given up now. Now they've given up for this season. They've got nothing to play. I'll just read out the Chelsea team. I find this interesting. Edward Mendy started. Chaloba, I don't know whether it was a 3 at the back or 4 at the back, but Chaloba, Thiago Silva, Badiashile, and this guy Hall.
yeah, Lewis Hall.
And then they've got Enzo, Kovacic, Gallagher, Madueke, Felix, Sterling. No Mount, obviously contract issues, I would guess. Harvard.
Isn't he gone for a hip surgery? Mount.
Ah, he's injured. Okay.
Hasn't he gone for hip surgery, if I remember correctly?
Okay, no Koulibaly.
And Sterling's
Is
a
he
bit of a
also
Lampard
injured?
favourite. Koulibaly, I don't know actually, but
Is
probably
he
he does
injured?
pick
Because
up a
he's
lot
not
of
even in
injuries.
the squad.
He does pick up a lot of injuries, so I would think so. I don't.
N-
It's
Both Fofanas are on the bench.
a,
I'm just like trying to go through how many new players they've got. Okay, the front three is new. Fernandez is new, so 4 players. Badia Chile 5. I guess Luis All can count as new. 5
Yeah,
in the starting lineup. And
yeah.
the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 new players. 10 new players for Nottingham Forest.
Injured Koulibaly, thigh injury.
Yeah, girl surprise.
Same as Cucurella, Chilwell, and Kante. Oh, and
Again, surprise, surprise.
yeah,
Is it his playing style? N'Golo Kante, I mean. Is that why he's injured so often, so
yeah. He
frequently?
played up front, didn't he? Virtually. I don't know what Lampard does. I really don't understand him.
Ah, because you don't have the nous.
Yeah,
You don't have
clearly.
the intelligence.
I mean, it's just
You can count from 2000 to 2023. You can do the math. You just too much for our level.
well, it's too much for your level, definitely. I mean, you struggle with that, don't you? Counting to 2023 from 2000.
Oh, 20 is my limit. 20 is my limit.
You've improved then. You've been learning. Obviously, hard work at college. You've been putting in, haven't you, to learn to count up to 20.
Rob, do you hear that? I've been working hard.
Yeah, yeah. I don't believe you've actually been working hard. I'm sorry. I don't even know why I suggested that. I'm sorry. That was ridiculous. Ah,
But come on, I guess Rob gets it working hard.
no, what? Are you being rude? There's Mrs. on, remember? Be careful what you say, you'll get into trouble.
He'll get into trouble, not me.
Yeah. And you'll get my missus excited because she'll be listening.
I guess she wouldn't understand me.
I don't know. I think she only listens because she saw your modelling video. I think she just wants to hear your voice, mate. That's what it is.
No, she's just been checking up on you.
Yeah. More
If
likely.
if we are being honest, that's the thing.
Yeah. It's just seeing how many punches she has to give me tomorrow for what I've said. That's right. Oh, you went. What up to you then? Oh, did I go off? Oh, no, I've got excellent connection. You've just gone quiet all of a sudden, mate. I can see it's gone green to show that you're making a sound, but it's not coming through to my ear, and I don't know if anyone else can hear it, but I can't. It's just figures my luck. I'm left doing it on my own because it sounds. I can see it's showing the green ring to say that you're talking, but I literally cannot hear you. I'm gonna check my settings in case it's me. Well, just in case. No, it's definitely not. I don't know if any. Shit. I don't know if it's working or not. Can anyone else hear Seamus talking, or is it just me that can't hear him? That's the question, isn't it? See, again, it's the green ring round your thing, like you're talking, but around your name, but nothing's coming through to me. I'm afraid. I don't even know if you can hear me. Shit. I wish somebody would tell us whether they can hear you on the live chat, so I know whether to just carry on or not. Because if I couldn't see you talking, I'd just assume no one could hear you, but I could be talking over the top of you. which case, I'll just carry on, run through the scores while you sort yourself out, mate. That's probably the easiest. So we got Villa beat Spurs 2-1. We start with the early Saturday anyway. Leeds 2, Newcastle 2. Obviously bad for Newcastle, great for Leeds. Give them a chance still. Villa beat Spurs. Not really a lot to play for. Spurs look just a mess, and Villa they're not quite there yet. But I suppose they've got a lot to play for next season, I guess. Chelsea Forest 2-2. Good result for Forest away from home. They finally getting going by the looks of it in the Premier League. Finally starting to they might actually have a chance of building something there if they can stay up. Palace Bournemouth 2-0. Doesn't really matter. Palace winning, does it? It's a bit of a nothing game in mid-table. And Man United getting a home win over Wolves sort of put a stop to the rot with them struggling. And we've spoken about Southampton, Fulham. So we'll move on to Sunday while we wait for Seamus to sort himself out. Right, his audio's not on the stream either, he said. So I'll just carry on until he gets back on. Yeah, so have you muted yourself? Is that what it is? I've not muted you, but have you muted yourself? Because it is possible. Yeah, Brentford beat West Ham. West Ham looks safe, so not a lot to play for them, to be honest. Oh, yeah. Everton got a hiding from Man City. Pretty much finished the season for Man City. Finished the season for Arsenal. Handed the title to Man City, really. Everton, really. I mean, they're still in with a shot, but that's made it more difficult than it needed to be. But to be fair to them, you don't expect anything else otherwise, do you? Really, let's be honest. Against Man City, they just can't compete with them when they're playing well. And then Arsenal got thrashed by Brighton. They look like they've completely folded now. Season's over for them, I guess. They're second no matter what. So yeah, but Brighton needed it. Kept them in contention. Possibly get a top 4 place, however unlikely that is. They're still in there with a shout. Yeah, and then obviously the Monday night game, Leicester just surrendered to Liverpool. Liverpool, I mean, they're on a great run now. That's 7 wins in a row, but it's hard to tell whether they're particularly playing well or whether they're just playing against teams that are just, I don't know. It's really odd. Teams just, but they seem to be getting results, but not actually. I mean, some of the plays, great. I mean, the goals, Jones was excellent, but I don't know. This new system, is it just a short-term fix or is it a long-term way of playing? I don't know. Could well be the answer, maybe bringing in something like that. But I still don't. I'm still not keen on the inverted fullbacks. Anyway, yeah, sorry. So Leicester they folded down. Tuesday it was the Champions League. Inter Milan got through to face Man City, who thrashed Real Madrid, obviously, last night, and tonight it's Newcastle Brighton playing. Yes, just waiting for Seamus to come back on. If he can figure it out. No, I don't know what he's done. Oh, shit, I've no idea how to. What have I done? I don't know what I've done. I've sent. I don't know what he's done. How is he not coming on? There's literally nothing I can do to make him. Yeah. I don't know where Billy is. He said he'd be late, but Oh. Oh no, wrong one. Sorry. I don't know why. Shit, this is really weird now. I'm really sorry, everyone. I don't know what's going on. Seamus seems to have broken his computer, and I've no idea how to get him back on, I'm afraid. So you're stuck with just me. I think looks like it's Leeds and Leicester gone. Definitely Leicester, I think. I think it's Leeds. I think Everton will do enough under Dice. They'll pick up a point somewhere and save themselves, I think. It's be a miracle after the season they've had. The way Lampard uh, started it and that. I still no sign of Seamus, which is a shame because we've still got a lot of stuff to talk about, and I don't know whether to move on to it or what. So just I wanted to talk. Now we've got the Inter versus Man City coming up for the final. Not really much to say about that. It's a case of should be um, should be how much Man City win by, but will Pep do one of his famous overthinking routines and throw it away? Other than that, I can't see how anyone can beat them sitting in that Inter. They're not a very good side, really. They're very lucky to have got through. Draw's been good to them. Also, I think we should talk about Luton and Coventry. Mention them. Both surprised to get to the playoff final. Whichever one of them makes it up. I mean, it's a bit of a miracle. Just a few years ago, weren't they in League Two, the pair of them? Pretty sure they failed to get up. Wasn't it 2000? I'm sure I read somewhere that 2018 they both got promoted out of League Two. Neither of them won it. Like both of them got promoted from League Two, and now they're on the verge, one of them, of making the Premier League. So I've got to be honest, I'm not keen on the idea of particularly either of them. You know, Luton is a bit of the ground's a bit needs a lot of work and that, and it's not a nice place to visit. It's not a nice place to watch football being played and that, and they play a style of football normally. Whenever I've seen them, it's very long ball, old school, and not very nice to watch. And Coventry have been Liverpool's bogey team for so long. I just, before they got promoted, that I just worry that they might they might still have that edge. So yeah, so I'm kind of not keen on either of them coming up really, but good luck to whichever of them does come up, and good luck to them both. I think it's a miracle for them to get there, and I have no idea what Seamus is doing yet. He's broken it. He's broken it. How does he break it? Has he got his headphones switched? Well, it can't be the headphones switched on because I wouldn't be able to see the green thing. Are you sure you've not muted yourself, Seamus? Open soundboard. What's that? No. I don't know what that is. Nope. No, I can't figure out what to do to get his sound up unless he's muted himself somehow. I don't know. But well, it says because it says you're great. It says you've got sound coming through, but if I mute you, I can see it's muted. So you're definitely not muted. Or I've not muted you anyway. So if you have muted, you've muted yourself. I'm sorry about this. Typical quality professional quality podcasting we do here. I don't know what to talk about now. I suppose we could mention, well, it's just me. I suppose we could talk about Klopp getting a too-match ban for saying referee Paul Tierney has something against Liverpool. I mean, I don't know what to think about that. On the one hand, I agree you can't really say stuff like that, but on the other hand, I can see why people are complaining about why referees are getting more stick than ever, because they're bringing it on themselves by hiding behind, it's the way they don't allow any kind of criticism is ridiculous. You've got to be able to be criticised when you do something, when you're failing, and they're failing miserably at their job. So all you're going to end up with is more and more frustration spilling over until people lose people get angry and lose the plot. So yeah, give him his ban and that, but they need to look at what they're doing as well. So he's tried changing his headphones. He's tried switching over to his phone. He's just broken Discord. That's what he's done. Oh, Seamus, you've let us down, mate. That's because are you stopping because Rob didn't want to speak to you? Is that what it is? It is, isn't it? It's because Rob didn't want to speak to you. Bless him. He's sulking. Oh, bless. Broken hearted. That's what it is. Yeah, so what else can I do? Well, I'm only getting an 8-month ban. I don't know. I agree with you, mate. I'd love Rob to get back on the podcast. We've been trying to convince him, but he keeps saying he can't do it. He hasn't got time. He's got too much on. It's, to be fair, he's changed job and that, so he hasn't got the hours anymore. Different job means he's not able to get up at the same time as he was before. And obviously he's in Australia, so time zone makes it difficult for him, bless him. And his age, he is getting old. That's the other thing. And he's married now, so he's not allowed to do things like enjoy himself, have fun, things like that, because that's obviously he's got married now, and his wife soon put a stop to things like fun and happiness and things like that. So, yeah, it's exactly Seamus just pointed out Rob had Fridays off in his old job, but he's not got them. Are you stalking him? You know what days he's got off? he's listening, but he's not fucking talking. He's doing this on purpose. I think you're just laughing at me, aren't you? You've just got off and just laughing at me. He's doing it. He's talking. Yeah, he never fucking stops talking, except he's not bloody saying any sound. What have you done? How has he done that? I mean, yeah, Tony getting an 8-month ban for betting. I don't think you can really argue with that, can you? You can't have people betting. I mean, it's too close to, it's too easy to go to match fixing from there. And they know the rules anyway, and it's huge amounts. 223 instances, and he's admitted guilt. It's not like, so it's just the only thing he can appeal is the length of the ban, I think. Yeah, when you look at some of the other bands like Sturridge and that guy, I don't think you can really argue, can he? Probably quite lucky, if anything. Then you got the VAR audio. They're now going to release the clips later on. Obviously, they'll heavily edit them and just pick out the best bits for the officials to make it sound like they've done a good job, rather than what's actually happened in the games. Let's be honest. We all know that it's just. I mean, it's beginning to feel like VAR, because live audio's obviously the VAR audio is banned by FIFA. You can't play live audio, but instead of releasing just the whole audio afterwards with the footage, like they've just doing they're only giving out bits, which to me, I mean, you hide corruption by not allowing people to see what you're doing, and that's how it feels like it's being it's beginning to feel like VAR's just being used to falsely introduce drama to the game. You know, where decisions favour teams. Like it feels like you're watching this season. Arsenal seem to get favoured to give them a chance of pushing Man City just to make a title race of it. That's how it felt at times when you watched them, because decisions just seem to go in their favour all the time. And it might just be a false perception of what you're watching, but when you watch the way they play with the constant diving and play acting and time wasting and that, and yet nothing was ever done about it, you do think they were favoured by the referees this season, which isn't something you can say every season about them. You just hope that the release of the audio will actually be a step forward, as Howard Webb claims. Though I'm not convinced. I think it'll just be they'll selectively choose bits that present them the officials in the best light, as in, like, to make them look like they're not as inept as they actually are. Yeah, and like I said, it just feels like there's a cover up going on when they won't allow it to be live feeds being heard. I don't like it. It should be allowed. It should just be out there so we can all hear what's going on. If you've got nothing to hide, why not be open about it? I mean, they could end up in a similar mess to us, though, I suppose. Yes, we'll release your audio retrospectively, Seamus, but we'll edit out and put only the good bits in afterwards. The bits that, so it sounds like you've actually had a decent input into the pod this week instead of, whatever you're doing. I mean, I can see you talking, but it's not coming through. This is really frustrating. Do I just carry on or do I give up, call it a night? I don't know. What else have we got? Messi in Barcelona, will he go back? I mean, should he go back? Only good bits that would last 30 seconds. Seamus, you overselling yourself again. Wouldn't last 30 seconds like me in bed, cheeky little shit. It takes longer than that at my age just to get it up, mate. You know what I mean? It's like you're lucky. It takes hours of work to do that these days. Should Messi go back to Barcelona and will he go back? Honestly, I think he'd be crazy to. No, actually, I think I don't think he will go back because of the money, and I think he'd be crazy to go back because he's done now. Oh, so now he's in the chat on there instead. So you take the piss in here then, yeah, so they can see it. Yeah, I know. I know Seamus loves Messi, so he'd love him to go back to Barcelona, so we could cheer him on there. That'd make his day. So let's hope he does go back for his sake. Right, what else? Notts County and Wrexham are back in the EFL. I suppose we should talk about that. Two oldest teams in professional leagues now. It was Forest, but those two are both older than them. So, though I don't understand this. They keep saying it. I keep reading this about them being in professional. Yeah, he's broken it, Stephen. I'm afraid. Sorry, I'm trying to just fill in while he sorts it out, but I think it's just he's killed it. I don't know what to do. Yeah, they keep saying anyway. They keep saying that the Notts County and Wrexham are now the two oldest in professional leagues. Now they got promoted back into the EFL, but I thought the National League was professional now. I mean, all the teams seem to be professional. Oh my god. Oh god, he's telling his jokes. Thank god he's not on the podcast now then. If he's telling his jokes, trust me, this is as good as they get as well. That's probably the best joke you've ever told, that, Seamus. For those who can't read it, because I don't know if you can read these things later, his joke was, do you know why Cristiano Ronaldo's room is always neat and tidy? Because he isn't Messi. Yeah, that's not good. It's not good at all. I don't know whether to hang on now for better Billy to come on. I think he's heard what's going on and given up. Actually, to be honest, he said he'd be late, but he doesn't seem to be on at all. So yeah, Bielsa's gone back to Uruguay. Not gone back, taken over at Uruguay back into national team management is what I meant to say. Because he used to manage Chile. Made a huge difference to. Maybe we could try and redo the pod, not tonight. You know, it's at 1 o'clock here. 1 a.m. here, there's no chance. Where was I? Yeah, Bielsa started over. Yeah. Well, when Billy gets here, it's just redo it, same again. Start with the same content, yeah. Talk about Southampton getting relegated and that all from the start. Yeah, that sounds good. No, that Seamus is just is just sulking because Rob wouldn't come and play with him. So he's sulking. He won't come on now. Well, I suppose there's no point hanging on with the Man United sales stuff now. I was hoping to leave that for Seamus to discuss, but there's not a lot to say. And yeah, it's just that looks like the Glazers are just going to drag it on and on and on and on and on and on and on until they realise that they can't get any more for it. Or, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long. That's what, the fourth round of bidding, fifth round. I've lost count now. I'd ask Seamus, but like, yeah, he's not very good at counting, so he wouldn't know. I mean, he's not a chance he'd know. But yeah, they just seem to be messing it around in the desperate hope of making another extra fiver somewhere here and there, no matter what. I mean, it was the final round a while ago, but then they had another two since then, so yeah, who knows when it'll go on. And obviously there's Everton now look like being sold, apparently, or there's a possibility, I should say, of Everton being sold as well, because obviously I just don't know how that'll work, because what will they do with the money? Because actually technically, as we all really know but they don't say, is it's not Mashiri's money in the first place, it's Usmanov's. So what will he be able to get it back to him? I suppose he could just give Usmanov access to the accounts, couldn't he? Put it in an account in his own name and then give Usmanov access to the money. So it probably makes sense for Mashiri Usmanov to sell up now, if they can get the money for Everton before they completely destroy the club by taking it down. Possibly. Yeah, there's not really a lot to talk about without somebody to talk to, I'm afraid. So, yeah, I think it's just we're going to have to. No, I didn't mute your audio somehow. I've checked it time and time again, and there's nothing. I don't know. I've adjusted your volume. I've muted you, unmuted you multiple times. Maybe if I disconnect you, and no, because that won't. I really have no idea what you've done. The only thing I can think of is you've done what Billy did and muted yourself, and you haven't seen it. Because I haven't done anything. It comes up with a little symbol when I do things like mute you, and I haven't done that. There's no symbols by your name. There's nothing. I've not adjusted anything. So. Yeah, I really don't know what to say, mate. Unless have you checked you haven't muted yourself? I'll tell you what, I'm gonna disconnect you. See, right, reconnect yourself. Check your sound settings and that. I don't see any green. Oh no, green ring, but you're still not speaking. Are you sure you haven't muted yourself? really wireless mic with a dead battery, possibly. He has got a. He has got a. I think Stephen might have cased it. No, because it's a headset you've got. So if he can hear, he wouldn't. The mic. Yeah, the mic's attached to the headset, isn't it? You're using that Steel Series one. So the only thing it can be is your settings, mate. Have you checked your voice and video settings on Discord? Have you checked you've even got it set to, and you've not muted yourself, etc. Yeah, there's nothing. Oh, now you're showing up as muted and you're deafened. I didn't. Did I do that or did you do that? No, you've done that. I can cause problems everywhere. It's a man thing. We can all do that, apparently. At least that's what every girlfriend I've ever known has said of me, is that we can all do that. He's still muted. It still says he's muted and deafened. Which really, if only that were true. What are you doing, Seamus? Oh, now you've unmuted and undeafened yourself. And no sound still. Oh, no. How the hell have you managed to do this? It's probably something really simple. Yeah, I often have to check that. I always do that. The disk the input and output check. That's why I was asking him to have a look at his voice and video settings. I'm really sorry, this can't be very interesting listening. Yeah, what's your input and output? Have you checked they're the right? Let's go. Oh, oh, no it is. I thought mine wasn't working then. Oh well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Why did mine come through?
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Now you can hear me.
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear me as well now. What's going on?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on? Why? What did you do?
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Nothing I've not done before.
But it worked now. That was weird then.
Yeah.
Oh well. At least you're
But
back
the
on
thing
now.
is, like, it's been showing that there is input. That's the thing. If my mic was muted, which sometimes I tend to do from my headphone, then there wouldn't be any input. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's what I don't understand either, because it was showing up with a green ring like you were talking, but nothing was coming through. It was really weird.
Yeah, and even Discord was saying like they can detect sound. It's not like they can't.
Yeah. It's really odd. Oh well.
And I tried switching over to my phone. I tried checking it with another two headphones. Like, come on.
Weird.
See how much trouble I go through to the -1 people listening. That's how much
I
trouble
know.
we go through.
Hey, we've actually had 8 concurrent viewers until you went off. We were doing really well. It was
Now
building
we're
up, and
down
you
to
killed
three.
it.
We're down
Yeah,
to three.
exactly. You killed it.
I'm I'm
I
I'm back and I've chased people away.
I'm sure it'll shoot back up again now they know you're back. Unless they've all gone. No, I think they've all gone home now, given up because you're not there. You killed it, mate. You killed it. I don't know. So what do you want to
I
taste?
knew.
What do you want to talk about then, mate? Because I've pretty much gone through all this stuff while I was waiting.
Yeah, I was listening to you all along. You don't
Uh,
need to give me a recap.
yeah, that's what I was saying. What do you want to talk about? Is there anything you want to talk about from that lot? Anything you want to get into? Get your teeth into, like the Man United sale, maybe, or
I
um.
don't know. Like, I actually wanted to ask a few things. Like,
Okay.
I watched a video,
Oh
which
God.
before watching that, I was pretty like,
You watching a
I
video? Can we
mainly
talk about this on here? Do we need to change it to adults only?
no. It's just about.
It's not your usual
Wait,
video
hang on
watching.
a minute. It was about Glazers fucking Man United. So I don't know
So
whether
it is
that's.
porn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some kind of violation, but yeah, whatever. Like before that, I thought it's gonna be like you buy the club and all, but now like there's reports like they've offered however much. The numbers I'm gonna say are arbitrary. It's not relevant to my question, but apparently it's like 5.5 or something billion the bid from Qataris.
Hmm.
Sheikh Shashi in Qatar. The Qatar bid is 5.5, 5.4. That's by the number. Is it important to my question? But that's for 100% of the club, right?
Yes.
And what's Radcliffe wants if he is open for 69% of Glazers sale for shares for like voting rights for the club
Yeah.
and keeping some Glazers on, and also he's open to buying the club outright. There are all possibilities are there. So how does that actually work? Like, is the offer from Qatar is like 5 billion or however much? Is that for buying all of the Glazers? Is it for buying all of the club because Glazers only own what 70% or
That's
something
the
like that
whole.
of the
That's
club?
the whole club that they're buying. The
But
Sheikh
how does
Jassim
it
Centre.
work?
He's offering to buy out everybody, all the shares.
Yeah, but what if the like let's say I
Yeah.
hold like
Yes,
10
but
or 20 shares of Man United, right?
yeah,
Let's say, and I say I refuse to sell them. What happens? What
you
happens in that
you're
case?
missing the voting right things.
Yeah, but no, okay.
And they get
I bought it off the stock exchange, right? It's listed on New York Stock
yes,
Exchange.
but if you've got no voting rights and it's a takeover and it reaches a certain it reaches a certain amount of percentage of shares, then you have to sell. You're forced to sell. You haven't got a choice. That's what happened with Liverpool and many other Man United in the first place. How the Glazers got hold
How
of it.
much is that value? So how much is the value? Like, let's say,
It
is
depends
the
on what the offer
value
is. They'll have the actual offer won't be valuing it. It'll be X amount per share, and it'll depend on the share, what type of share it is. Because you've got to remember, this is the thing. It is that this is the other thing about the Ratcliffe bid. He's trying to buy a
the Glazers only?
percentage with yeah. He's trying no. He's not trying to buy the Glazers out. That's the whole point. He's leaving the Glazers in, isn't he?
No, they were
He's
like
trying to buy a
it's
controlling
it's muddied.
interest.
It's muddied. Like you've already covered. There's been about like 3 or 4 rounds of bidding, and the Radcliffe bids always like change the nature.
Yeah, but
Like
his
there was one buying the club, then there was one buying the Glazers out, then there's one just
no,
making
his
sure
bids
he has
always
a voting says and all.
no, his bids is just to take control of the club but leave them with shares. The problem with that is that written into the shares that they've released, they'd have to change the club's. I think it's club's constitution they have to change. They because the shares have written in with the Glazers always have voting rights, and if they sell any, they immediately lose those voting rights. They become the other. I can't remember whether it's Class A. They become Class A rather than Class B, or become Class B rather than Class A. Whichever. Anyway, they convert to the lesser ones. So
So what? So
if
basically, what you're saying is For any of the people that actually own the shares of Manchester United from New York Stock Exchange, the shares listed on the stock exchange, they've got no say on
They've got
whether
very
they
little
want to
say.
sell.
They've got
No,
something like
I own it. Like you can understand my.
yeah.
You can understand
If
how I
it's
got confused with the
if some
points raised. Like
yeah, but if someone comes to you
I
and
own
just say
shares.
yeah, but
I
this
own shares.
yes, this
I
isn't
own shares of different companies here, right? On
yes,
our
but this isn't like it isn't like a bid for your shares as such. This isn't someone saying you've got X amount of shares, can I buy them off you? This is someone making a takeover bid for the company. So it's a totally different. It becomes a vote, and you get just the majority. The majority of votes wins. Basically, it depends on how much of a majority you have to have is enshrined in the club in the the company constitution is. So it will vary. I mean, some companies you have to have 75% of votes for to do things. It will depend on the club. Will have the company. I mean, not the club. It's different thing. It's the company itself will have its own. They'll have things written into the wording of your shares to say what rights you have, what power you have, and that might mean you can have shares that absolutely give you no power whatsoever, but might give you a dividend every year or whatever. You know what I mean? It depends on the company. I've seen, that's what a lot of companies used to give out for employees, to make them work harder. They give them shares in the company, but in actual effect, when it came down to it, they had no power. You know what I mean? No voting rights, really. No say over the running of the company, but they still had shares in it. They get shares every year. But when it actually came down to it, it's just a case of if someone comes in with a takeover bid, you just have to sell them at the amount, thing. Or you could have sold them yourself on the side at any point anyway. Yeah,
so, but what you're saying is the people who own the shares from the stock exchange have no say over the
very
matter, right?
little, very little. I think the share right, it's something like I think it's something like if I remember correctly, I think they have 3 times the voting rights for each share. The Glazers, if I remember correctly, so each of their shares is worth 3 votes, and a normal share is worth 1 vote, if I remember correctly. So, so if you've
No,
got,
that much I understand that all the voting shares are with Glazers.
hmm,
Like
yeah, you
if
can,
Glazers want to, let's say, like dilute more or sell the club, you can't stop them. But surely there should be some kind of like if
well,
if a person owns the shares, or maybe 10 shares, 100, 500, whatever the number, surely they should have the opportunity to either sell or keep the shares they own. You can't be forcing them.
and yet you can. That's how it works, I'm afraid. With a takeover bid, if they get to a certain percentage, that's how the Glazers got it in the first place. Exactly how they got it. Once they got it to a certain percentage, everybody had to sell at the price that was agreed. It's just that's the way it works. I'm afraid I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it was how Kroenke got hold of Arsenal as well. Remember he had a battle with Usmanov.
Okay.
Once he
Yeah,
reached
yeah,
a
yeah.
certain,
That
once
must
he
have.
got the shares off Usmanov, everybody else had to sell up who had any left. Though most of them had agreed to sell anyway. That's how why Usmanov gave up the battle. It's just, I mean, it's an odd thing. It's not really something I know that much about, but I do. Just apart from having read up about it from it happening to other football clubs. Because obviously it's companies rather than football clubs, and it shouldn't be like this anyway, because it should be a club. But yeah, they're companies now. They're companies own clubs rather than clubs, so you can be a totally
But
different way of
even
doing
with
it.
the companies, once you own the shares, you should have the right to either sell them on, keep them on to whatever with the shares.
In normal business, yes. If somebody comes to you and says, do you want to sell your shares? And you say yes or no, that's how the Glazers started. They were gradually just asking people to sell them the shares, and eventually they found enough. They got enough to get into the position where they could force everybody else to sell. Because when you get to a certain point, you have to. I can't remember what the numbers are off the top of my head. I did have it all written out for the article I did about the Glazers buying Man United, and when they got to a certain point, it triggered where they had to make a formal takeover bid. And they had to give a written bid, and they had to try and get everyone signed. And the Man United board wrote to everyone, suggesting they accept the offer, and they all said they were going to sell their shares to the Glazers. And a few of them said no, and a few of them held out, but eventually the Glazers managed to get enough shares that they could force the last few holdouts to sell. So
Okay, but again, my next question, just to cut you off, how much would, how much does the Qatari bid on paper, if it's 5 billion, how much does it value this per share thing? Like, does it does it have to value it above the current market rate,
oh yeah,
below the current market rate?
it doesn't have to value it. It's up to them to make the offer that they think's they think's
It's up
fair.
to the Glazers, right? It's
Yeah,
up to the Glazers. That much I understand. Like, it's up to the Glazers whether they want to sell the club or not.
yeah, and it's up to the person making the offer how much they make the offer for. Obviously, there's no
So
point
so
making an offer
realistically,
that's
let's say the shares on the market are value the club at 2 billion, right?
hmm,
It's just an arbitrary number. I'm not giving you any facts. And
we're using.
hypothetically, let's say a buyer comes in with a 500 million bid for the whole club.
Yeah,
So
nobody's gonna.
so that buyer is gonna have undervalued the
Yeah, nobody's gonna sell, are
shares.
they?
Yeah, but hypothetically, it is possible if the current owners are, let's say, they're in huge financial trouble
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all,
That's
so
that's when you'd make that
they
kind of
could
offer.
f them up.
Yeah, that's when you make
They
that
could
kind of
f,
offer.
but they could f up the shareholders, like the ones
Hmm.
owning those minor little shares.
Yeah, they could do. Yeah, easily. But
In theory, we're just talking in theory.
yeah, but obviously the Glazers aren't in major financial difficulties. They're just trying to make more money. The
Yeah, and
issue is, it's also the valuation. It's got to be said. You've got to be careful at what people are talking about, as in they value it at X amount. The bids, the amounts they're talking about, the bids putting in. I mean, they're including things like them paying off the debt is in the amount they're saying they're bidding. You know what I mean? So that's not a value of the shares. That's paying off the debt. So I think is it $500 million is the debt at the moment? I can't remember, but something like that. So when you're saying it's 5.5 billion, well, half a billion's already gone paying off the debt, so it's 5 billion. They're actually valuing the club at, if you see what I mean. And then you've obviously got, they're also including an amount that they're saying that they will spend on infrastructure of the club and transfers, etc. Money they will invest in the club is also being included in the amount they're saying the bids for. So yeah, when people are saying it's valuing the club at this, not necessarily. You have to check the figures, because some people are getting themselves excited over things that aren't actually there. They are, Sheikh Jassim is making a bid of, say, 5.5 billion, say, but $500 million of that is immediately not value of the club. It's paying off debt, so that's not going on the value of the club. That's not going to pay share. That's not going to shares. That's paying off debt. As for using an arbitrary, I think it's $500 million, but that's I'm gonna it's just a round
I think
number
it's
to make
more.
it easier. It probably is, but I'm using just a stand, because it's easy to keep the figures when it's 5.5 billion. It's easy to say $500 million. You know what I mean? People can understand it easier, so I'll stick with $500 million. And then you've got, they've said, I think they've said 800 million. I mean, but let's call it a billion to keep it to round figures. So what you're actually valuing the club at is 4 billion when you actually look at it. But people will talk about them valuing the club at 6 billion from those figures, and I don't understand where that's coming from.
No, but once you actually say like it's more closer to 4 billion,
Hmm.
that's more of a realistic valuation.
Exactly, and that's what it should be saying. That's what they're offering. It's a realistic offer, and seems it's still over market value for the shares, but it's not
Yeah, but
ridiculously
but
over.
that's the thing. Like for Glazers, it's been an amazing few months, I would think,
Mm. Well, when you look at
because
what they spent
the
on
valuation
Scotland,
keeps going up.
yeah, and they've spent absolutely nothing on it. They borrowed the money, and never at any point has it come out of their bank accounts. It's come from other loans. All the payments have come from other places, not from them themselves. All they've done is take money out, which is
Yeah, with
astonishing.
with Radcliffe involved, and the Qataris seeming like very serious about the bid. Is like, okay, you're gonna value the club at this and try to undermine me. I'm gonna do this, and then okay, you try to undermine me. I'm gonna up it, and then you try to undermine it. It's like this is proper auction stuff, man.
Yeah, and that's what they wanted. That's what you always open for when you sell something. You open for an
And that,
auction like
yeah,
this.
obviously that is how you would always dream. Like if you're trying to sell anything, you'd hope for a open auction kind of a scenario where people are just happy to. When it becomes more about business sense and sorry, less about business sense and more about dick swinging competition, it's always nice for the seller.
It
Now I
is.
think I think it's coming to a point where it's more about ego for both.
Yeah, I think you're right there, though. I'm not sure. Ratcliffe just still seems to me to be taking the piss with his bid. The fact that he's still keeping the Glazers involved just doesn't. I don't like. I don't. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, but the Glazers are gonna get get money they wanted, like
Mm.
however much money it was. Looks like they're gonna get it now.
Yeah, it's well, you don't know. I mean, will they actually even sell? This is the thing. It's been going on so long. Are they just going to say, well, we'll have another round of bidding then?
Yeah, and then that other round is also gonna just increase the money they're gonna get.
Yeah, so
But
what
is it?
point do you say, oh, well, that'll do, I'll take that? I mean, if you're there, would you say, well, just have one more round? Do you know what? Just one more round. Yeah,
Yeah, greed. The greed never stops. But
exactly.
again, like there's another point. Like, at what point does the Qatari guy or uh, Ineos guy, like Ratcliffe, at what point they say like, oh, just F it. I'm just gonna go and buy some into Liverpool, for example. You
Hmm.
could like, even if you don't, especially for Ratcliffe, if you just wanna buy into a club, buy a major share into a club, then FSG,
Yeah,
they're a
looking
very
for
viable
vendors.
option.
Yeah, it makes sense. They're a club with a strong team. They're right at the top of even if they're not had the best of
Oh,
seasons.
oh, we can
But
we can talk about many things, have chit chats, banters, or like have jabs at one another. But both teams are massive teams.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Both
And
teams have a lot of exposure, and both teams are competing in a similar position.
mm,
Arguably, Liverpool are doing much better. Not arguably, obviously they're doing much better in recent history.
mm. Yeah, exactly. And they've got, and across Europe and the world, they've obviously got all those European trophies that give them a cachet that you can't get from anyone else in England. So yeah, and yeah, I can see your point. I mean, it's if Ratcliffe is serious about owning an English club, it would make better sense that at some point he's got to think, I've got to walk away. He's saying it's too expensive, but why doesn't he look elsewhere? That's the question. I know he's going to say because he's a Man United fan, but he'd already tried to bid for Chelsea, and he's a Chelsea season ticket holder. So obviously there's something not quite right there, is there? I mean, I wouldn't want him at Liverpool. I've got to say, I wouldn't want him involved. And if I was FSG, I'd be wary of him and all.
Yeah, but like I was reading, I was I was scrolling through social media, and I just read like the Qataris. I'm sure like Qataris are putting these things out on purpose, trying to get fans on board, trying to get more leeway with their bids. But
Mm.
now, before they were trying to, it was like, oh, if Qatar bid wins, with Man United are gonna try and sign Neymar. Now it's they're gonna try and sign Mbappe. I'm just wondering who next. Who next?
Well, it won't be Philip Coutinho. I can be sure of that. Because that's what Barcelona, one of the Barcelona ones did, didn't he? That's why they ended up with paying a huge amount for him. One of the Barcelona, presidents said.
Yeah, oh, presidential elections. They
Yeah.
make weird promises.
Oh, it's ridiculous ones. I mean, that's how one of them ended up with he said he Beckham, somebody else, or I've forgotten who, and sorry, again, going back into
And
history.
apparently, like I was listening through stuff, and apparently, if you promise some things in the election, and even if the results you get or the players you get turn out working better, you're still seen as not delivering.
Mm. Yeah, even if you win
Still
stuff.
frowned upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say you promised to buy Erling Haaland, for example, in your campaign,
Yeah.
and then you end up buying Mbappe, and you win trophies, leagues, Champions League, whatever. You're still seen as not doing your job properly, like
Yeah.
not delivering what you promised.
It's
Oh man, come
bizarre.
on,
It really is.
just be happy. If you're not, if you're struggling, yeah, all right, fine, you're gonna be grumpy. But if you're winning, just
Yeah.
lap it up.
Yeah. Does it matter if they had to buy a different player from the one they promised because they couldn't get the one they promised? Yeah, But then, I suppose you shouldn't be promising to bring in a player. Really?
Well, I guess this is gonna be a good transition from Manchester United to Barcelona winning the league.
Ah, yes, you wanted to talk about that, didn't you?
I just wanted to mention it because of one of the weeks we forgot to mention Napoli winning the league.
God, yeah, we did, didn't we? And that was huge. Oh,
And we might have forgotten to mention it last week. I don't know.
I see. I see someone on social media that Chelsea did. Have you seen it? Where he said he's wondering if Chelsea's the case because they get Sterling and it looks like Man City's going to finally break their Champions League. They get Koulibaly and Napoli go and win go and win the Serie A. Saying
Did
it's a
that,
Chelsea case. What did I say?
so they didn't sign anyone from Dortmund.
No, they didn't,
They
did they?
didn't sign anyone from Bayern
So it looks
to
like
jinx them either, did
yeah.
they?
So that
Ah.
so that's why Bayern will probably still win.
Oh, they bought Aubameyang at the last moment from Barcelona. Oh, you can complete
Oh
the
my
whole
God,
circle.
yes.
Oh,
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? They bought Aubameyang. I'd forgotten about that. So they bought three players, and those teams have gone on to win their league. And looks like Man City's
comfortably.
gonna win the Champions League as well. Wow.
Oh,
Maybe Chelsea are cursed. Hard to feel sorry for them, though, isn't it? Really. Considering what a joke Bowley turned them into in the summer. Oh, have you gone again?
no, no, no.
Oh,
I'm
so
just
don't
keeping
do that
quiet.
to me, fuck's sake. You're not allowed to keep quiet. Oh, I thought, no, I'm not doing that again. I've got nothing left to talk about. Well, what else? Yes, we mentioned Barcelona. What are your input? Messi go back? Yes or no? Should he or will he? And will
No,
he?
no, there are different questions. Really, like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should he and will
no,
he?
if we are
Two
no,
questions.
if we are being honest, we don't know about Messi. Like, really is like we don't know.
Hmm.
That's the long and short of it. Should he? I think I would say I don't know. Should Barcelona? No, definitely they shouldn't.
No,
That's
I
my
meant your
opinion.
opinion on the that will he and should he. I meant not will he as in like give knowledge on it because we know you've got no knowledge, mate. I mean, you can't even figure out how come someone's 23. So we can't expect you to know things like that. So yeah, because I think he won't go back because they can't pay him.
Oh, that's like financially, we can get back to Barcelona's finances, but they're not that great. It's quite easy to see.
200 million still to reduce their wages by.
Yeah, like I was listening to someone say like they've got rate of like about 80 million from the West budget with Busquets leaving Barcelona
Hmm.
and the sale of Griezmann, but that still leaves them in the negative, in the red.
And
They
it's not
still
just
gotta make
yeah,
like
because they've promised Alonso a pay rise. They've promised someone
Gavi.
Gavi, yeah,
Yeah,
and
they've not been able to register him.
who
Yeah,
else? There's
still.
there's more than what? There's like 3 or 4, wasn't there? Contracts they've not been able to register. So yeah, so there's
Yeah,
still a
PK,
big mess
PK
there.
retired. Yeah, PK retired mid-season. I guess that contract is over, so that's
Yeah,
another saving for them.
yeah,
But
but
still, they've got a lot of.
yeah, then they're in trouble, aren't they? Still. Question is, can they win the league again? I mean, it depends on who takes charge at Real Madrid, I suppose. Because
Yeah, like after last night with their like resounding loss, there are different kind of losses. Sometimes you just get deep to the fire, like
hmm,
final finish line. You're competitive and all. Full disclosure, I didn't watch the game, but apparently it was like
was
Real
bad.
Madrid just never turned up.
Hmm,
It was a one-sided affair. That was a scoreline as well. It was fucking 4-0.
hmm. This just looks on paper like an embarrassment, doesn't it, for a team like Real Madrid?
Yeah, even for any team, losing 4-0 is not, it's not nice.
Yeah, especially at that
Even
stage.
Even Everton only lost 3-0.
Fair point. Yeah, that's quite embarrassing, really, when you look at it that respect. I mean, how much did Forest? Yeah, what did Forest results against them, for example? And
Now, obviously, we beat them 2-1
there you go.
just a
So they
few
must
months
be
ago.
shit. So they're shit then, really. They're just lucky, obviously.
Yeah, they're riding their luck.
Yeah. So do you think is this finally gonna be City's year?
No, I've got a sneaky suspicion it's gonna be like the Inter Milan to put in a performance of the lifetime. And I had this suspicion before last night's result. I thought Inter Milan might just put out a defensive masterclass, like shut them up in attack, and then get a goal from somewhere.
Hmm. I the
I don't expect Man City to just roll over Inter Milan like the narrative suggests.
question is the biggest question. I think is will Pep try and be clever again, or will he just
That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm
yeah?
I'm waiting for. That's the thing with Pep. There's gonna be one decision, and it's gonna backfire for him, and everybody's gonna say like, "Why did you do that?"
But they never
But
seem to
maybe, but
question him.
yeah, no, but maybe like one of these decisions just doesn't backfire, and then it's just gonna be like, oh, genius from Pep,
Hmm.
finally, and all that.
Yeah, it's certainly got a lot riding on it because it decides whether he failed or not, really, doesn't it? At the end of the day, him winning
Well,
it.
apparently, if he wins this, then he's gonna be the greatest manager of all time.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works because like you can't really judge him because he's never had to manage. He's always just had it. It's a really difficult thing to do is judge him. He's very good at what he does, but he's also very good at messing up what he does. You know, when he wants to, and throwing away results that he should have easily got. And obviously, financial doping. They put Barcelona's mess began during the Pep Guardiola era, for starters. Bayern haven't really recovered from his management. I don't know. And are City a better side now than they were when he took over? Is his
That
first.
was, I think they are. I think they've been a better team overall. They've been a more dominant side under him. That much I'm gonna give him credit for.
What, this season?
No, not this season.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
in,
I'm
in
saying
his
he's
entire,
improved them from before. What I'm saying about is over time. I'm talking about like as his teams evolve, they don't tend to improve. They tend to get slightly worse than than his first team that he builds tends to be his best one, and then after that they tend to be slightly. I think anyway, he tends to take them gradually backwards, if anything. I mean, I think the team he first built
it's
there
an
with
aging
David
team.
Silva and that was fantastic. Much as I hate to admit it, it was a brilliant team, and I don't think what he's got now is as good. And if they were facing off against each other, I would expect the first team he built to beat this team, even though this
Yeah, but the
team is
but the
probably.
first team he built, the first team he built was the Centurions. Come on, it's like on paper, just the numbers of it, like that was the greatest team in the Premier League
Hmm,
ever.
it should be, yeah, with the money they've spent, to be fair, but.
On paper, with the results, the points they got, the goals they scored, and all, it was that.
Hmm,
Whether like we can talk about the evolution of the game, times have changed, like teams roll over, whatever, like 3 points and 2 points and all those things. But just looking at the numbers, just with the stats, they've been the best team, like
hmm,
the best Guardiola team, the best Manchester City Guardiola team was the Centurions,
hmm.
which was never done before and hasn't been repeated.
Yeah, you can't argue with their record.
Yeah, just if we're just talking numbers, I think like the 99 point season, the one where they beat Liverpool by 1 point, I think that was a bigger achievement. That was a stronger team, but
Hmm.
like those two, like it was a back-to-back season, right? 100 and then 19, and
Yes,
that's the
yeah.
peak of it. It's never been done before, and probably will never be done before, like done
Again, yeah.
after.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that just it's fantastic achievement. What they're doing now, I don't know. It's not as I don't know. If they win the Champions League, though, you'd have to say it's what they've achieved is far better for Guardiola's reputation than what he's done before, and he'll be lauded far more for it, even if it might not be as big an achievement. I don't, because they haven't really
No,
this
no, my
season.
point,
They
like
haven't
I've been
really.
consistent. I've been consistent with my opinion. As long as City don't win the Champions League under Guardiola, it's just a failure of his
Hmm.
time. If they go on and win the Champions League this season, then his overall period at Man City will ultimately be a success in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah, and that's basically how it's got to be judged because that's what he was brought there to do, is to win the Champions League. So,
Yeah, just like with Haaland, like I think it's both of us, like we've been saying, like he's scored goals and all, but the team hasn't done as well in the league, and
hmm,
ultimately, it's not the league that he's been brought in to win. It's the
yeah,
Champions League. If
exactly.
if they win the final, if they go on and win the treble, which is very possible, then Holland is a success. If not, then he's just another signing.
Mm.
Yeah, he may have broken some records, but it's just another player brought in, and nothing special.
Yeah, because even you break records, but like if you don't win the big trophy, it's irrelevant, isn't it? Really, it doesn't matter how many goals you score if your team's not winning the league at the end of the day, or winning the Champions League in this case.
But I'm pretty sure Salah was happier winning the league than he was scoring 34 goals and winning nothing.
Exactly, exactly. You always want to. Trophies is what you end your career. You know, it's what you have to show for your career at the end of the day. It's
Or
not.
you might be more proud with a 34 goal season than a 22 goal season, but you're going to be happier with a
Yeah,
league if you like nothing.
but yeah, I'd rather win to score 22 goals and get a league trophy than score 34 and get nothing at the end of the season. Yeah, you've got to be. It's just the way it is, unless you're Gary Lineker.
Or Cristiano or Messi.
Yeah, yeah. Though I think Messi's another one. I think he does value the trophies as much.
Yeah, I'm saying like they have value their individual
Hmm.
awards just as much as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you can understand it to a degree, but it's definitely for me. It'd be all about the winning trophies, and anything else is really just a bonus. But yeah, if he wins it, I'm with you. It's a success. But you've got to say, for the amount of money, the amount of time it's taken, and the amount of money he spent to do it, it's it's not really the work of the greatest manager in history, is it? It shouldn't be taking this long and that
Yeah,
much money if you're the greatest manager in history, like people are claiming.
yeah. I
Surely.
was like, again, I was listening to someone, like someone's take on the whole Ferguson versus Guardiola thing, right? Oh, and one thing that always gets said about Ferguson is like he didn't win enough Champions Leagues, right?
Mm, yeah.
And but the point, but I agree with. I'm not expert on the early 90s and all, but I agree with the point that was said. Like whenever Ferguson went into a season where you said like, you could see like Manchester United at least one of the top two or three teams in Europe, he won the Champions League. In other seasons, he had good teams, but they were like clearly better teams. In 98-99, we had a very good team. We had one of the favorites. We were one of the favorites. We went on to win. And then like Real Madrid and Bayern and those teams were much better on paper, and they won instead of us. And then we had some blips and all that. And again, when the team was rebuilt to be one of the best in Europe, again he won it.
Mm,
But with Man City, in the past 3 or 4 years, they've been one of the best teams in the competition, but hardly look like winning it.
yeah.
There's a difference.
On paper, they probably
Yeah, on paper, it's all
they've
on
been
paper. On paper, they've been one of the best teams,
no, on
but
paper
they've
they've
not
probably been
performed.
the best team in it for the last in Pep's entire tenure. On paper, they probably had the best team in every single season going
No,
into it.
I think the Bayern Munich season was like Bayern were also like equal favorites for me. Liverpool
Yes,
in
but
one of those years were equal favorites.
were they
But I'm
favourites
saying, like,
because they were as good, or on paper I'm talking about, or is it
yeah, but
because
that
you
is what
know
I'm saying. Like,
Pep would throw it away is the thing, or they're better in the competition because they've got a better, so you favour them because of that. That's what I mean. I'm saying on paper, I would say Man City should probably just on purely on paper. You take out all of the factors, just the quality of the players they had. I would say that they should have won by now before.
yeah, that was the argument. Like, they've been one of the best teams for like at least half a decade now and never actually won.
Yeah, and that's
At and I think that's a very fair argument. At least with Ferguson, when he had one of the best teams, he ended up winning it. When he didn't have one of the best teams, the other teams won it, and you have to say like you should do better, but you can understand it more.
mm, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's difficult. It's difficult to compare eras, like, but I just don't see any era where there's been a team as outstandingly strong compared to the competition as Man City have been over the Pep era. The entire Pep era, they've been pretty much the strongest team in Europe overall, and yet they're still yet to win the Champions League. And if you're the greatest manager in history, as is claimed of him, there's just no excuse for not having won the Champions League yet.
Yeah, well, the greatest of all time should be doing better with unfancy team, not doing worse with
Yeah,
outright favorites.
exactly. When you've got a team that good and you're spending that much money every season to improve it should be a cakewalk, really. When you consider, especially when you consider that like the Spanish league has been in decline for years, so the French league's weak, the Portuguese league's no real competition. You've got basically you're up against your entire competition. Really, should consist of other Premier League teams,
No,
basically.
it's for most of the past decade, it's been like English teams, Real Madrid and Barcelona,
Hmm.
PSG, Bayern Munich, and maybe Juventus in between. Like,
Hmm. But what I mean is, the only teams you can excuse him losing to really were another Premier League side most of the time. Maybe I mean Real Madrid. I know they beat
a
Liverpool and
Bayern
stuff,
Munich
but
in
they're not a
between.
good
Bayern
side.
Munich.
They've not been a
I
good
think
side for a
Bayern
long
Munich in
time.
between. It's been like with Lewandowski and Hansi Flick at helm.
But even
My love for Hansi Flick.
yeah, no, they
I'm saying like you can understand if you face those teams and then they beat you, cup game. Ultimately, it's a knockout situation when you
mm,
enter into the latter stages. But you have it's already like getting too much.
yeah.
It's been like
If that's
he
2 or
has
3
spent
years,
more
this
time
is
here.
5 years.
Yeah, he's spent more time here at Man City than ever before at any other club.
Yeah, yeah. To be classed as the best ever. No, he can't be. Not unless not unless he completely dominates from now until the day he leaves, and he has to stay. He has to win the next 5 in a row or something to really be classed as the best ever. Because otherwise, you're just looking at it's the financial doping they've done, and that has given him such an edge that really he should be winning. He should have won 5, but he should have won at least one by now. Really, that's just on the balance of probabilities. You should have won one with that amount of spending, and
Yeah,
he's
and another argument like that I could really get behind is like, yeah, these allegations they're mostly backdated to 17, 18, like how like 3, 4, 5 seasons ago, right?
hmm,
And like the argument is like, oh, Guardiola wasn't there. Maybe Man City have gotten their act together now and whatever. But ultimately, the success that Man City has built upon is on the backbone of those
exactly, yeah,
wrongdoings.
yeah, and
Maybe they bring in the sponsorship money now, but would they have done it without winning the leagues with those financial doping things, with those like half a million for 1 hour job or one advertisement or one endorsement for one of the companies or being an advisor for something? That was the thing with Mancini, right? He was advisor for one of the clubs without having ever been to that club. Those backhanded payments and all those.
mm,
Like, would Man City be getting like 10, 20, however million they do for their kids if they hadn't won the league that way?
exactly. And
Those are the things that we don't really consider.
yeah, it's not just that. You've got to remember that he also benefited from Barcelona's cheating with the referee. Where they were paying the referee. Which you can say whatever you like about it not being cheating to have a referee on the books to come and give, but the fact that it was hidden shows that there was something dodgy going on, because otherwise it's perfectly acceptable in Spain to have a referee pay a referee to come and talk to you at the start of the season and that, which they claimed is what he'd done. So why were they hiding it? Why were there so many hidden payments going to him? So you can't say that Pep Guardiola hasn't benefited from cheating anyway. Even if you say rule out the cheating at Man City as benefiting him, because he definitely had it at Barcelona. It was during his time. So he's definitely benefited it from help at points in his career. So I just don't think it's enough to. I just don't think he's not to be the greatest ever. No. Maybe the greatest Barcelona manager ever. I could agree with that. Certainly not best Bayern Munich ever. Not even close. He's not. I wouldn't even put him in the argument, to be honest.
Who gets it for you? Who gets it for you for Bayern Munich?
His predecessor would have to be the one that got it, because he turned
You
him into the
might
best.
just.
Yeah, I mean, what he did was fabulous, and then they sacked him and replaced him with Guardiola for it. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, if you say put it like that, because he was brought in when they were struggling to win the league. He turned them into treble winners and got replaced next morning.
Yeah,
Essentially,
it's insanity.
it's really neat.
When you consider it, that's how great
Yeah, but
Pep's
that's
reputation
Barcelona.
has been.
Sorry, but that's Bayern Munich, mate.
Yeah.
They sacked Nagelsmann to win the Champions League this season as well, because Nagelsmann wasn't conceding enough goals in the Champions League.
It's just crazy what's been going on this season in football.
Yeah, played 4 times against Inter Milan and Barcelona, 4 clean sheets. Then again clean sheets in the knockout stages, and then you have to get rid of him because you wanted to concede goals. Bloody idiots.
The whole thing with Nagelsmann, I mean, it was just an absolute mess. They clearly didn't. I didn't think it.
I don't know how Nagelsmann has ended up with a tarnished reputation.
I'm not sure he has he? Because he's turned down Chelsea job and that. So
No, now he's got the reputation of being hard to deal with, arrogant, and all that. People actually have issue with the fact that he doesn't want a star-studded team, but more like a manager's team.
He wants a team to play for him rather than
for
he wants for the club.
He wants the team to be he wants the team to be to act like a team instead of being a group of individuals, and that's seen as being bad. That's seen as him wanting all the limelight and all that.
Yeah, I don't understand that being a bad thing myself, but yeah.
That's basically what Pep and Klopp both are.
Yeah, exactly.
They are the superstars. Yeah, Salah may be scoring 35 goals a season. Haaland may be breaking records, but still, when you say Man City, you talk about Guardiola. When you say Liverpool, it's Klopp.
Yeah,
all the way through.
And while neither of them want it that way, and we talk about the players rather than themselves, you can't get away from the fact that it's the manager does get the credit and the glory.
Yeah, because they build a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been criticizing his achievements and all that, but that's because he had the team. Guardiola, that is.
Yeah, so many times he's had the team to just go and win everything, and he messes it up himself. I mean, he makes a stupid decision
with Klopp, it's the team. He built the team. He didn't get one star in and now play around him and that's it. No, you build a system, you build a team, you make a functional group from the individuals you get.
Yeah, and you bring in the players that suit what you want to do, which is what Ten Hag's
that
been
complement
doing.
each other. Yeah, we try to complement each other, try and accentuate the positives, hide the negatives as far as you can.
Yeah, and
that is why Ten Hag doesn't play Maguire.
Well, obviously that's a mistake. He should play him for the next couple of games. I think should be first choice. Sorry, I'm not going.
And I've said this before. I'll say it again. De Gea is all right with his feet when Maguire isn't playing. When Maguire is playing, he's hopeless.
That's understandable. He'd make me panic as well.
No, that's always the opinion I end up with whenever I watch Maguire and De Gea together. It's like,
You'd get panicky playing alongside him. I'd defy anyone not to, because you just don't know what he's gonna do you?
no, he's gonna pass the ball awkwardly. He's gonna ask for a pass in awkward places. He's gonna tackle your own player. Maguire is box office. Now,
Well,
if
look,
Guardiola really
my favourite
wants
Man
to be
United
known
player.
as the best, if Guardiola really wants to be the best manager of all time, then it's very simple. Get Maguire in the Man City team and make him one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, if they could win the Champions League with him in the team, then you'd have to acknowledge he's the greatest of all time. And to be fair, John Stones is in the team, and he wasn't far off Harry Maguire level at one point.
Yeah, but John Stones doesn't go on and tackle his teammates.
No, true. Fair point. Fair point. He's never quite been that bad, has he?
He's been bad in a different way. He's been bad like
Yeah.
Van Dijk has been bad this season,
Mm.
not like Maguire. There are levels.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you've got a point there. Give you that. Yeah, I can't see Pep ever doing that. And he's not. I mean, he's good, but nobody's that good. Let's be honest. Nobody could turn Maguire into a champion. Maybe Southgate, because no, I take it back.
He actually tried.
No, I've just thought I know who could.
Cool.
Allardyce,
Because
because he's the
he's
greatest ever,
just as good.
obviously. You see, this is where Pep's got it wrong. You see, he can't claim to be the greatest ever. Why people can't claim it to be the greatest ever? Because nobody can match Sam Allardyce's achievements as England manager. 100% record. Till you can match that as a manager somewhere else, you're just second best to him, always.
The genius of Big Sam.
Well, I know he may be old, but he's still on the level of Pep and Klopp. He said so himself, so it must be true. Did you see? I saw a story on the BBC website, and I just thought this is why I stopped reading the BBC website now.
No, there are tons of words. I know what you're referring to. There are tons of words you can use to describe Allardyce. Like
Yeah, but humble
hundreds and
is
hundreds.
not one of
But
them.
humble is like,
Like a humble granddad, it was the headline, and I was just crying, laughing, and I thought, you just
yeah, but that article comes like what? Literally a day, 2 days after him claiming himself to be not any
exactly,
worse than.
exactly to be on the same level as Pep and Klopp. I mean, how can you cut out an article saying he's humble after that? And in the same headline, it also called him special. So, it's just like, you just give up on journalism these days. Liverpool more so your opinion
That's
and your
so
feeling.
funny.
Sorry, I was just reading. Oh, did you cover Klopp? Should we say emotions getting him the touchline ban? I did mention it, Stephen, but I think we should. Seamus should give his side of it. What do you think of that? Do you think it's
No, I'm
fair?
happy. I think it's a good thing. Just like you want Maguire to play start out next to matches, I would rather Liverpool be without Klopp.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I mean, what I mean is, do you
No,
think,
the thing is like, listen. I understand the regulations are quite clear
yeah,
and obvious. Like, you don't go
exactly,
out and criticize the referees and all that, and you're gonna get reprimanded and all those things. I completely understand it, but there comes a point where it becomes too much. Like, you may not agree with the way things was handled. You may not agree with the way the words club used. You may not agree with the words many managers have used against the referees. But sometimes what they are saying isn't wrong. You have to. There has to be some kind of accountability.
exactly, and until you make referees and officials accountable, you're gonna managers and players are gonna get emotional with them. And the thing is, they've got the power anyway to do something about it. They've got they could send players off. There's so many times where you think players should have been booked or sent off for what they've said, and the referee's done nothing about it. So they're too weak, and that's the problem. Oh, old Harry won a Prem title and a manager then. Huh? Old Harry won a Prem title.
Harry Redknapp hasn't won the Premier League, neither has Harry Maguire. Those are the two prominent Harrys.
Yeah. He wasn't at Leicester, was he? Harry Maguire when they
No,
won
no,
it?
he wasn't. He
No.
wasn't. It was Robert Huth and Wes Morgan.
Yeah, exactly. He moved there afterwards. I'm confused. What?
He moved there after the Champions League, so it's like
He was at Hull
one.
City then.
Yeah. Oh,
I
this
don't know.
this is how it is. I remember it now. Leicester won the league. Then first game next season was against Hull. Mike Phelan was the manager. Hull beat Leicester with like 15 players on the books. And the next season it was that he was signed by Leicester.
Yeah. Yeah, so he definitely didn't win a Prem title, and nor was Redknapp, definitely not. So I don't know who the other Harry could be. I don't know which Harry he's talking about. Oh, maybe it's another one.
Why? By the way, why is Harry Maguire called Harry Maguire? His first name isn't Harry.
No, it's not, is it? I don't know why.
It's Jacob. I
Yeah,
remember it like I might have said it before as well. Why?
I don't know.
And
Something.
Harry isn't his nickname either. It's his middle name.
Hmm.
If it was nickname, then yes.
Maybe his dad's Jacob as well, or something, or whatever his first name is, because that often happens where
No, it is Jacob. I remember it.
if the
I am
dad and
very
son have got
foolish
the
about.
same name, they
Ah,
often use the middle name to differentiate them. It's quite a common thing, or used to be. Doesn't people don't tend to pass names down now because they have more. They tend to go for something more exotic, don't they? Those kinds. So doesn't happen as much. But anyway, sorry. No, and the other one. What's the next one? Scott Lawrence saying, "Rare I get a chance to listen to these, and I missed the previous combos so far. Tris, can I get your opinion on Liverpool transfers for the summer? Expectations and realistic thoughts. More so your opinion and your feeling on the McAllister rumours, and if you think he will improve us." Right. Should we are you okay to touch on that? Talk about that for a bit?
yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We can do.
Quickly, we'll just the transfer summers expectations. I don't think there'll be much coming in. I think um, if I expect Mount to sign with Chelsea, I don't think he's got any intention of leaving there. So I don't think he'll move. I think that's why the McAllister rumours have come about. He's the alternative. It's. I think a lot of it depends on where Liverpool finish in the table at the end of the season, because Brighton will let him go to a Champions League team. Their their policy is to let the players move on to a bigger, to bigger, better things if they do, if they want to, and if they,
And
if
he
they,
has come out, right? It's come out from his camp that he's only gonna join a Champions League club, which should
yeah,
be which is very much understandable.
yeah, that's what I mean. So I mean, if Liverpool make the Champions League, I think there's a very good chance he could end up at Liverpool. But if they don't, I don't. I think he'll stay put a season. Because what's the point in leaving Brighton to
Yeah,
come to Liverpool,
but he's
or
gonna
go
have
to
other
somewhere else?
suitors.
Yeah, or go to somewhere else. That's what I'm saying. He won't go to. I don't think he'd go to Liverpool. I'm saying if we're not in the Champions League, I think he'll go somewhere else or stay put if there's not the right offer there. Depends on what offers come in. I mean, you say there's other suitors, but what if none of them are? What if they're teams like Chelsea and that are
No,
interested? Which they
obviously,
are. So
like yeah, obviously this gonna have to be an acceptable offer for Brighton.
hmm,
You can't like say, oh, Manchester United are in the Champions League, so they're gonna bid 30 million for him, and he's
exactly.
gonna go there. The financial side of the things are also
Yeah,
gonna have to be taken into consideration. But I think like there are teams that would probably come in for him they can offer him Champions League football, and also get an agreeable package with Brighton, then aside from Liverpool, even if it's not like if we had a clear cut situation with our ownership, if if it were to somehow get cleared up before the transfer window, then I can see Man United making a move for him.
Hmm.
I could see a PSG, for example, coming in for him when they get the huge wages off the books. Maybe an Arsenal or Man City, they've also been rumored to be interested in him. They're gonna lose Gundogan.
Hmm.
Maybe they see him as an option. Like I think he's gonna get a lot of shooters. And
I
I've said it before. I've not watched him enough to say
I'll
like how
tell
good
you,
he is. But
I don't expect Man City to join it. I expect them to sign Rice to replace Gundogan.
yeah, but then they're gonna want to replace Calvin Phillips as well. That's the thing.
Well, do
They
they need
always
to
want more
replace?
players.
Yeah, I just don't see they'll be needing to replace Calvin Phillips. I mean,
A lot
do they
of
need somebody to eat
do they need?
extra meals in the restaurant?
Yeah,
Uh,
but did they need another centre back in the summer? No, they went out and got him in anyways. That's the thing with them. It's
yeah,
not about whether they need someone or not. It's just like sometimes it's just
whether he wants it.
yeah, we just want to show you that we can do it kind of thing with them.
I just don't see McAllister as a Pep kind of player. That's all. But you never know.
Conversely, I think he's gonna be a very good
Oh, I think he's a very good
fit for.
player. And
No,
I
I
think
think
he'd
he's
be
gonna be a
very
very
good.
good fit for Manchester
No,
City's midfield.
I'm not saying he wouldn't be. I'm saying I don't think he's a Pep type of signing, if you see what I mean. I don't think he's someone that Pep would look at and go, yeah, I'd like him. I don't know why. I just don't get the feeling he's a Pep type player.
I think
Even
it's
though I
because
think
he
he'd be
actually,
perfect.
yeah, on paper he'd be perfect. So that is what Guardiola doesn't do. Like on paper, Grealish is a bad fit. On paper, Haaland is a bad fit.
Yeah, true.
They've worked at least for them till now.
Because
Let's
yeah,
see
he'll
how
just
it goes.
work on
Yeah,
it. He'll just change things around and build on it and change it until he gets them working, doesn't he?
yeah,
I think
yeah.
he
But
just
that's
likes to
easy,
be
right?
clever.
Like we didn't touch this part of the discussion on Guardiola, but it's you buy one player, he doesn't work. Next summer you sell him off for like half the price, and then you buy someone else
Hmm.
for even more money. If he works, you're gonna be happy, and if it doesn't work, you again sell him off for half the price and bring in someone more expensive
Oh, but
until you
to be
succeed.
to be fair, Ferguson did similar to a smaller, much smaller degree. But and that was just because he was ruthless and he'd realise he'd look at them and if they weren't matching his expectations within the season, they'd be gone. But with Pep Guardiola, it's more of a like, well, we'll just buy 10 players and see how many of them work out, isn't it? It feels like rather than like where he was buying a player and it didn't work out, so we get rid of him and get another one in to replace him. Do you know what I mean? It does feel a bit more like it's just like numbers game with Pep. You can just go out buy left back doesn't work. We'll just buy another one next season. That one didn't work. We'll buy another one next season. We'll buy another one. Well, we'll just buy another one and another one and another one. And like I don't think. And he's ended up with a kid from the youth team anyway, hasn't he? As his main one.
No, he plays right back.
Oh, is he right?
I I was like led to believe it's Nathan Ake that plays left back or left centre back or whatever the hybrid
Yeah.
role that
I
I
thought that
just
other
don't know.
lad worked. I thought that other lad also was the.
No, Rico Lewis plays more as a right back
Ah, right.
or like again the hybrid
Yeah, I thought
midfield right
hybrid.
back
Yeah,
there.
the hybrid role.
Yeah, the hybrid.
Yeah. I didn't realise it was right side. I haven't really looked close. I haven't watched City this season,
It was
properly,
Walker.
to be
It was
honest.
Walker being the starter, and
Oh,
then like he's made a complete deal out of himself.
you see, he's been on.
In the media, he has always seemed like that personality, but now it's all over the media, like his escapades and all that.
Mm,
But
yeah.
but it was coming. You could have seen this come from a mile away. After all, he's the guy that got in trouble for the hooker party during lockdown as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm surprised he's lasted so long, to be honest. But
And he also went out on his bicycle or something during the lockdown to meet his parents or to get some kind of a weird food. I don't know. It's getting
it's
too late. My mind is
you,
stopped working.
what mind? Uh, what is that? Anyway, just to quickly get back to it. Expectations, I don't think much. I think there'll be maybe one, two midfielders. It's mostly about outs. I think it really depends on what outs, and I expect a centre back to come in as well, but a couple to leave because I think Matip might well be sold this summer along with Phillips. I mean, you say that, but I say that, but like
Will he get sold?
what'll end
Will
up
Matip
happening
get
is,
sold?
well, what'll end up happening is they'll price him out of the again as usual. Price every player out that's supposed to be sold. Price them out of the possibility of moving anywhere, and we get stuck with them again, like we've been every single season, because Edwards and Ward do that, and now they've gone. I bet you will still have the same problem because it seems to be club policy to ask too much. Why we were stuck with Cater so long? I mean, they could have got rid of him in January. Why? Why not? It's bizarre.
Yeah, and I know people are gonna say, "Oh, it was a loan deal. Oh, we
So
didn't get them, and we couldn't get a replacement and whatever, whatever." But ultimately, how much minutes, how many games has he
yeah,
played in? How many
exactly.
minutes has he taken? And it's round about zero ultimately.
And what he did do is like
Mm,
nothing
Even
worth.
forget about, yeah. It's inconsequential whether he played actually 0 minutes or he played 50 minutes or 180 or 500
Mm,
minutes. It's amounted to actual nothingness. You could have gotten
this
nothingness from
that's how
any
most
random
clubs
guy
are.
from the street.
Well, this is what I mean about. This is one of the things. There's been a lot. I was talking about like players like Morton and that, and people are saying they don't think they're good enough to make the grade and all that. But I think people are forgetting that the only thing they've got to be there for to do at this point is this is what I'm talking about, and this is what people are getting mixed up with. They're thinking they're going to be first choice players to play regularly. You know what I mean? I'm talking about, and there's very few of them likely to do that. But what they can do is what Ferguson was used to do with all his youth team players is put them in regularly. They played, not as in like 100 games a season, but I mean they played a few games every season. A lot of substitute minutes and against the weaker teams and that as rotation options to allow you know the the main choice players to rest, and it wasn't because he thought they were good enough. It's because it raised their value to sell them later, and if they proved themselves good enough, he kept them. But they've only got to be there as cover. They're basically their desperation cover. They're not there to play every minute of every game, so they don't need to be Jude Bellingham level. They don't need to be top class, as was shown at the end of the season when Liverpool had the injuries to the centre backs and Phillips and Williams played. Those two aren't, they were never going to be first choice players. They're never going to make it, as in like a pairing in the Premier League. Those two together, I mean, Williams is barely even League One level, but they still managed to do enough to win game after game after game with those two as the centre back pairing at the end of the season. You don't need to have the best players in the world. You need to have a team that works well together to be the best team, to win games. And those kids, even ones that might not be good enough long term to make it, they can still offer an option while you wait to bring in the players who are good enough, or for younger players to come through and replace them. They still offer an option as rotation and cover so that you can give your better players a rest every so often, and that's all I'm talking about. When I'm talking about Morton and that make getting in the cover him next season, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not expecting Morton to walk in and be great, or Clarkson, I don't expect them to walk in and be world class and play at Bellingham level. I expect them to be the backup to the like of Jones, Elliott, Trent, whoever, I've forgotten who else is there, you know what I mean, and whoever gets brought in. That's what I'm suggesting they are. Biotic, who I was trying to think of, Thiago, Fabinho, you know what I mean. There's plenty there. You just need a bit of injury cover.
Well, if you're talking about midfielders and injuries, then the elephant in the Liverpool room would be Thiago, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's
What do
not.
you do with him?
If you could sell him, I think you would. But the only real option out there that I can see would be someone like Barcelona, who simply can't afford his wages, or they'd love him back, I'm sure, because he totally fits the Xavi plan. But
No, I think he still fits the Liverpool plan. The issue is he
injuries.
doesn't. Yeah,
It's too often. You can't have unreliable players like that. I just don't see it as an option. I think you've got to, if you're looking at the Premier League level, and Man City could afford to have one or two of those kind of players on their books and get away with it because they've got such a strong squad. But Liverpool are at a point where they can't financially afford to carry a player like that for the times when he can play. And I think you've got to get rid of them. And even though I love Thiago, I think you've got to offload them, get them off the books, and bring in someone you can rely on.
and I know, like I hate to do this, but I have to say, like I told you so. I told you so.
Did you?
When,
I
yeah,
must.
you could.
I'll have forgotten that. I don't remember that. I won't remember that. No, that never happened.
It,
You won't have got something right.
it was probably the poster and not the editor form of me, but
Ah,
I was because
okay.
that's the issue. Like he's had like
Mm,
consistent injuries. Has always been one of his not
yeah,
one his only weakness, if we're
yeah.
being honest.
But I was hoping that like a bit of time under, working hard, training hard, his fitness would increase, and that cut back on the injury issues. But it hasn't changed anything.
Yeah, but I always like to point this out. An 18-team Bundesliga has four less games and one less cup competition.
Hmm.
When you move to England, you have more league games and you have to deal with more fixtures in the cup. More games just mean more opportunity to get injured.
That shouldn't actually be a problem though, if you're fit, if the fitness is there. I often see people
No, but
saying,
listen, that is the thing. Like with Salah, that is not an issue because he's a fit guy. With people who already have persistent injuries, it's just more opportunity for them to get someone tackle them awkwardly,
yeah,
for them to tackle someone awkwardly. It's a wonder, but those people with great fitness don't get those horrible tackles happen to them as often as the people with dodgy records.
I
I
think
don't know how that
a lot of the
transpires, but that is
a
it.
lot of the time they can be targeted. Like managers Ferguson was famous for it, and that's not a dig at him because it used to happen. It was standard
It would
practice
happen to
in
anyone.
his
It would
time.
happen to anyone in his team as well.
Yeah,
If you had a weakling, just like if you have a hothead in your team, he's gonna get
yeah, you get wound up. I just
needled
mean it's
around.
standard practice. I wasn't having a dig. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't having a
Yeah,
dig at him. I was just saying he was famous for instructing players go out and put one on someone who's got a weakness. You go in and you exploit that weakness. You hit it. You go in, you make sure when you're putting a challenge, if he's got dodgy ankle, like Harry Kane, if you're playing against Harry Kane, you'd be at his ankles all the time. Every time you got a chance, you'd be making sure that every challenge went in around his ankles. Every time you got in there, you know what I mean? Or you'd be nudging him when you're in the box for a corner and things like that. You know what I mean? That's what
yeah.
you'd be doing if you were playing in the 80s. These days, they don't seem to do that kind of thing so much, but it does still happen to a degree. It's not as obvious as it was, I should say, rather than they don't do it as much. As for he's saying it does have something to do with the fact we're missing a head doctor at the club, and not really. That's repair. That's more repair and recovery. And getting back to fitness. That's where the issue's been, where injuries have taken longer to recover from, rather than the actual injuries happening in the first place. That's more a fitness issue. And yes, we're still looking for one. In fact, we might still. No, I'd probably still advertising for one now. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's more down to fitness coaching, which I often see. The thing that one of my pet hates is that people seem to think that people can be overtrained. I don't know where this has come from, that people can be overtrained to pick it and get more injuries from being overtrained. But I've never seen that actually happen in football at all. No matter how much people say it is, I've never seen a case of it. I've never seen anyone where they see at the fitness level required. It's more that they're not fit enough is always been the cause of injuries rather than overtrained. I've never seen any overtraining cause injuries at all, ever. People keep saying about like Bielsa's team, but it's not overtraining that causes when his teams had injury problems. It wasn't overtraining that caused the injury. It was the fact that his team wasn't rotated. And
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's because he has a very small squad and he prefers to work with a very small squad.
yeah, that's not overtraining. That's just playing too many games and not having enough options to rotate them because he likes the small squad. And it can work in a league like say France with less intensity, because your players aren't getting kicked as much because it's less intense. So you're not getting hammered and you're not working as hard. So the lack of it's usually a lack of recovery time, not overtraining. That when players are at that a late stage of the season, when they start picking up these niggles, it happened to people like Robert Pires and that. When they have the ACLs, a lot of that is caused by lack of recovery time in between games, rather than overtraining because they're tired. The tiredness comes from not recovering properly rather than overtraining. If you see what I mean. I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly, but it's very rare it's overtraining that causes a problem, if at all. I've never seen it. But there's often problems with lack of rest, which is a totally different thing. You've got too many games coming in such a short space of time, especially these last few seasons. The players have been pushed hard. They've not had proper breaks. They've had World Cups in mid-season and stuff, and obviously seasons squashed up because of the pandemic and stuff. It's just been a mess. So there's been a lot more injuries overall. For I think pretty much every club has been struggling, to be honest, with more injuries than normal. I mean, certainly.
Hold on. We didn't discuss the impending director of football recruitment at
Oh,
Liverpool.
Schmacker coming in.
Yes, Marca. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't mentioned him, have we?
And so
Yeah.
yeah, sorry to cut you off, but I just remember we
No.
forgot about this last week as well.
Good point. Yeah. Excellent point, in fact. So, as you're the one that's really, that's more knowledgeable about German football, do you want to start on him? What you know about him,
Well,
if anything?
very little, but my general understanding of Wolfsburg as a club is like in the past few seasons they've gone from being a competitive top half team competing for European places to that flirting with relegation. And that's not a good look on the sporting director. You can have mitigating circumstances, but ultimately, if that's the thing that's defining
Yeah,
the
but
overarching narrative around your period at the club, then it's you have to be a little bit concerned.
yeah, but I agree with you there. But like I said to you last week, he did come in when the emission scandals. He was in charge for the post emission, I believe. I'm only going by what I've read about him because I don't actually know much about him. but having looked it up, he's post emissions scandal when Wolfsburg had gone from being a rich club spending a lot of money to suddenly being hamstrung completely because Volkswagen pulled all funding because they were in the shit after being fined billions for falsifying their emissions claims. And well, basically they did a Man City and cheated, didn't they? By making it seem like their engines would run differently when they were under testing conditions to show cleaner than they actually were. And so basically they got a huge fine, had to tighten the belt, and Wolfsburg suffered from what I've been told, or what I've read I should say. So
Yeah, but my
Game
take on
6
this
has he's
scenario.
gone from being a play, it's a bit like when Sean Dyche took over Burnley, where he's had to have a fire sale and then try and rebuild from there. I believe that's the way it's been worded to me, is that he's had to rebuild from a mess.
Yeah, but my understanding of, like, I speak from a position of ignorance and lack of knowledge. I'll be very honest about it. But my opinion on the whole scenario is like the recruitment they've done is been poor. Ultimately, that's the thing. And in Bundesliga, for teams outside of Europe's like ultimate mega super rich league of English football, if you're not in the English football pyramid, then you have to be very astute with your dealings. You have to be very clever with your transfers. You have to be very. You just basically what I'm trying to say. You can't buy your way out of trouble.
Mm.
Even if you don't come into a club with financial problems and all those things hanging over you, ex- unless you're a PSG or a Bayern or Liverpool, not Liverpool, sorry, Real Madrid, Barcelona, you're always working from behind. So lack of fund, yeah, it might have been a problem, but it's not like Wolfsburg were like spending 100 million on three players every season, kind of a thing.
They were the biggest
Uh,
spenders in the Bundesliga for a while now.
and that was before Leipzig.
Mm.
No, I'm saying like the recruitment they've done has been disappointing for me. The managers that have been at Wolfsburg and the replacement for the managers and the players brought in, they've been underwhelming.
Yeah, no,
If yeah, if Smartka was being brought in at Manchester United, I would be a bit underwhelmed.
the question is, would you be underwhelmed if he's just coming in till the end of the season to work with the manager he knows well? If it was like Ten Hag had chosen him just to come in for a few months to work with him while they find a long-term replacement.
Yeah, that's a bit more palatable. It's more
Yeah,
digestible. But
and that's what it is. So it's totally. And how much power is he going to actually have? Because Klopp is basically a manager rather than a head coach at Liverpool. So
yeah,
is
maybe they need someone to do the negotiation part of the deal.
well, that's basically what Ward and Edwards have been doing. It's just a negotiating deals, basically, not being. They've not actually had any. They've not really done anything else, which is part of the problem. And that's what worries me, is that he's probably coming in to do a similar job. What's needed really is someone to say to Klopp, look, these players you want to keep, they're in their 30s, then it's time to let them go and replace them. You know what I mean? It's like, rather than giving them big new contracts,
Yeah,
he needs someone to actually curb him rather than back him. And I think that the problem is Schmatker's just there to back him and help him rather than curb him. You know? Oh, well, Scott also asked, will Man City be found guilty, do you think, or will they find a way around it? They've already been found guilty, Scott. I've mentioned this a few times on the pod before. They've already been found guilty of something like 60 occurrences by UEFA. They weren't found innocent like Man City keep claiming it. It's a complete and absolute lie. They were found guilty. They were handed a punishment which they appealed to CAS. The appeal basically just said that because a number of the number of the proven instances were time barred because they were over 5 years. I think it was happened over 5 years ago or whatever it was. They couldn't be punished for them, so they had to reduce the punishment down to a fine, and Man City paid the fine, and then said, "But we were innocent anyway." Which obviously you wouldn't have paid the fine if you thought you were innocent. You'd have appealed again. They could have appealed again, but they didn't. They paid the fine, so they were found guilty. They've accepted guilt. They were found guilty. They accepted guilt. They paid the fine, and then come out and keep saying they were found innocent, even though UEFA have come out and said no, you were found guilty, but we were time barred. We couldn't punish you for a lot of them. FA actually can punish them because they don't have a time limit on their thing. The chances are they will be found guilty because they've already been found guilty in the past. The problem is, what will the FA do about it? Probably F all. That's the issue, isn't it? They'll just give them a slap on the wrist, I think, won't they? What do you think, Seamus?
I don't think the punishment is gonna be as severe as most of the people think it will be. Most of people hope it would be. I think the maximum is gonna be like a hefty fine, and that's it. And I just don't understand how financial mismanagement can be punished by just more financial implications. I just don't understand. Like, how
That's
can you say like a team has gone into so much red, so much negative spending that they need to be reprimanded, and the solution is like making sure they spend even more money
exactly this,
on paying the fine.
and that's
I
what
think it's counterproductive, but that's just me.
it's bizarre. It is a bizarre one. It just seems like a money-making scheme for UEFA and or the FA, that doesn't it? Well, why would you punish them with fines? It makes no sense. But I agree with you. I think that's what'll happen. I can't see anything else happening. Can you? At all? Sorry, I mean the listeners, whoever's listening. So, right. What else have we not talked about?
Just one last bit on Smartka. I just checked. There was one manager that I'm really impressed with that he did manage to get in, and that's Oliver Glasner. I have to, if I'm gonna criticize him for
All right.
things is apparently on paper not been brilliant yet, then Oliver Glasner was a very good recruitment for them.
Hmm. Yeah, but like he won't be in charge of picking managers at Liverpool, will he? Because
No,
he'll be working with
if it's a short term, if it's
but
a short term, like just patch things over, then maybe
he's only
maybe
on
you can't
limited
get, yeah,
contract, hasn't he?
yeah, it's like you can't get someone better to just be a stopgap.
Hmm.
That's the issue. Just like you can't get a very good manager to be your caretaker interim boss.
Yeah, unless you Leeds, obviously, in which case you can get the best ever in Sam
Yeah, but
Allardyce.
that's like, come on,
You know,
Leeds
that's
are Leeds.
yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's a special case, isn't it, for a special manager? Humble granddad, humble granddad. Because humble's the first word that always comes to mind when you think of Sam Allardyce, isn't it? Just behind fat and scam is humble. Ah. Which actually, there is one thing I don't think I touched on while we were on. Have you heard there was in France there was their rainbow campaign was at the weekend. You know the LGBT thing. You know in favour of not of whatever it is. You know in support of LGBT rights, etc. And a number of players refused to take part in it
Why?
because they didn't
Why?
believe in it. They didn't back it. They don't agree with it. I mean, a number of them because it's against their beliefs. Um,
Religion, I guess.
mostly, yeah, mostly it was a lot of them was a bit like it's the sell. I mean, there's Guy, Gay, whatever his name.
Yeah, you have to say it's a
Yeah,
Ghana gay. You
yeah,
have
it's
to
just a
make sure
kind of
it's
gay.
gay.
Yeah, so I mean, he's, I don't know, with that name, you think he'd be in favour of, but like, yeah, apparently not. Yeah, you know, like where he refused to play for PSG on 2 occasions because of the Rainbow campaign. They refused to wear the shirts and that because they think it's not real man
But
thing to
but
do.
but it's a bit ironic. I don't know whether ironic is the
Yeah, it is ironic.
basically like yeah, it's no what I'm trying to say like they don't want to support those LGBTQ plus rights movements or whatever down to the religious belief, but they will also be wearing kits that advertises alcohol and baiting and things like that
Exactly.
that are also
They're
not
haram.
allowed in the religion.
Yeah, haram. But they don't care
Yeah,
about that. I mean, at least someone, what was his name, used to play for Sevilla and West Ham and that. Freddie Canute. He would have a different shirt on. His shirt wouldn't have betting sponsors on it, and alcohol wouldn't have on there
yeah, that should also
and you've got no problem with that. If he would turn around and say, "No, my religion says I can't," I don't agree with that because my beliefs say,
yeah you respect him if that is
yeah,
the case, isn't it?
yeah, at least he's standing by his beliefs. Whether you agree with his beliefs or not is a different matter. But like, yeah, at least he's standing by his beliefs. But these players, they don't. Their beliefs only matter to them when they feel like it. That's what it is. It's as simple as that.
It's selective.
I bet you full well if this was a sponsorship deal with a company that supported LGBT rights, they'd suddenly find it was okay if they were earning an extra bit of money from it. But anyway, the actual thing I wanted to discuss is as there's a French minister saying he wants the players, or she, I can't remember whether it was a he or she actually, wanted sanctions against players who refused to participate in the campaign, which I'm kind of like, yeah, surely it's up to them whether they participate or not. I mean, if you're going to support people's rights, you can't then turn around and say, but they're not allowed the right to disagree, can you?
Yeah, like if and what good is gonna come up from trying to enforce something on people?
Exactly. I mean, I've got no problem with the Rainbow
No,
campaign myself, but
trying to educate. If you're trying to get the players on board, trying to educate them on why it's better for them to endorse this movement and all that.
you
Yeah, fair enough. But
can't force them.
forcing them is just gonna make them be even more adamant against it. Is what I would think. But I'm not a politician. I'm not man of the people, so I don't know.
It just seems like fascism to me when you tell someone you got to do it whether you want to or not. You know what I mean? For when you say, especially when it's it's just odd because it's in support of the right to someone that you're saying, but you can't have a right to disagree with it. It just seems really, it's just unpalatable to me. I don't agree with their decision not to take part in it, but I don't just think they've got a right to choose not to, even if they are only doing it because they feel like it and not because of their beliefs, whatever they may claim. Just because there's a lot of it. It's like gay and that they didn't want to go back to Senegal and be like because they're ashamed because it's really frowned upon. Homosexuality is seen as like it's got a real stigma to it.
In some countries, it's outright illegal, a
Yeah,
crime.
yeah, but they've got, like you said, they can't say it's their beliefs that's put them against it when they're happy to wear alcohol and betting sponsorships.
Gambling
So
and all those things.
yeah, you either got a belief system that you believe in, or you haven't. You can't just choose when to apply it, can you? Or you shouldn't be able to. So they're the ones I would say. If there's any of them players that are wearing betting sponsors, any of them Muslim players that refuse to do it because they're saying it's because of their religion, and they're wearing betting or alcohol sponsorships or both in some cases. If they are, I would say they're the ones I would actually back him saying not because they're Muslim, I'd just like to point out, but just because if they're claiming that that's what's stopping them, but they're happy to allow haram things to be advertised on themselves, then clearly it's not because they're Muslim at all, and they're just being arseholes, basically, aren't they? That's how I'd look at it. I've got no problem. Like we said, Canute wouldn't have refused any kind of. If he turned around and said, "Oh, I'm not participating in that because it's against my religion," you'd say, "Okay, fair enough. Hands up. That's your belief system. Whether I agree with it or not is a different matter. But you're entitled to your beliefs." But these people, they're choosing when to apply their belief system, and that's wrong for me. Did I talk about VAR or not? I don't know. While you were listening.
Oh, you did. That is why my retrospective audio comment came from.
Yes, you're right. Yes, I don't know if you wanted to touch on that at all before we.
I think the less we talk about far, the better it is.
Tony's 8 month ban. To be honest.
No, that was like once I read the news, I thought like, is it unfair on the teams that they're that Brentford have already played,
Mm.
or the teams that they're gonna play next?
But you've got
Like
to.
let's imagine if you are Leeds or an Everton
Mm.
playing Brentford right now. I know those are not the games for them, but having Tony play for Brentford or not would
Yeah,
drastically change the overall tone of the
I
game.
I fully agree with what you're saying, but you've got to remember the FA are not responsible for the length of time it takes for these charges to come about. What they do is they investigate, they gather their evidence, then they turn it over to a independent tribunal, and it's the independent tribunal that takes along. Same with the Everton and the Man City case, and any other of these that take months to come about. Like was it Kieran Trippier? All of these kind of cases, that take forever to come about. The reason why they take a long time is because it's not a case of the FA sitting and getting their court together and putting them through the ringer in their court. It's an independent tribunal that sits and so what the FA do is they gather the evidence, then Tony is given time then to give his to gather his evidence and testimony etc. to give to the independent tribunal. The independent tribunal then has to have time to look through it all and come to a decision. So, which may
Yeah, but
involve them having to get both parties in to speak to them, which can take more time. You know what I mean? So the time consuming. I can understand why it's really frustrating, and I agree it should be quicker. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. What I'm saying is people are blaming the FA for it taking so long. It's not. It's an independent tribunal, and it's them that need to be. It's them that are at fault for why it takes so long. Even though I fully agree, it should be quicker. This shouldn't take so long to decide. They had 223 cases, was it, against him, and he admitted most of them, I believe. From what I've read, from what he's, from what's been released, he admitted, guilt in a large number of cases. So what the fuck hell's taking so long? I don't understand it. I can understand if it's like Man City where he's dragging it out and using the lawyers to make it last longer, but this isn't the same thing. He's handed in his evidence a long time ago, and he's admitted guilt in a number of cases. So surely this should have been done and dusted months ago. It's And you're right, it is unfair on those teams that have already faced Brentford that it's taken so long.
with just like 2 or 3 games remaining in the season, could they not just impose the ban from next season onwards?
Oh, exactly. That's the other thing. Why not? Why does it have to happen at this point where it's causing an effect on the end of a season when they could have just said, right, we'll start it from next season where everyone knows where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you already know your situation at the start of the season, so it's less unfair.
Hmm. Everyone else knows that he's banned, so they're not going to have to face him rather than not knowing what's happening with him and when he's at what point is he going to be possibly banned or not, or it was just all up in the air. It was a mess.
Yeah,
It
but
really was.
that just makes him more hard to get. Not hard to get, like that just makes it hard for him to get a move away from Brentford now.
Well, yeah, I can't see anybody coming in for him this summer.
Why would anybody come in? Because he's not going to be available until January,
Yeah, but
mid January.
he can train with the team from September. So if you buy him, you could get him in, get him training with the team, and get him up to speed ready. That's the only reason why I could see it'd make sense to buy him this summer.
Now it wouldn't make sense. You could just wait until like,
No,
November,
I wouldn't.
December,
But I'm
try
saying
and get
if
a deal done.
I'm trying to put the what's the devil's advocate. I'm
Devil's
just trying to play
advocate.
devil's advocate of why it might make sense to buy him, because you could have him training with the team and getting used to it. If you're someone like Klopp, he often doesn't put them in the team anyway initially, does he? They spend a large number of time trying to learn the way he plays before he get for a lot of them. Some players obviously straight in.
Yeah, but
Diaz, but
you
others.
also run the risk of like the player just basically becoming into Arda Turan 2.0.
Hmm.
Doesn't play and then just never gets back up to speed.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't risk it. I would say that if it was up to me, I would never look at him again until he'd had a season. The end of next season, you'd look at him if you're gonna have any interest and needed a striker. But I think it might well be a career ender for him, to be honest, at the top level. I can't see him ever being able to recover enough to push his way into the England reckoning properly, and that. Whereas if it hadn't happened, I think he'd have been in England. He had every chance. He's certainly good enough to make it, but yeah, I think it's cost him badly. It's a shame, really, because he knew it was wrong. He must have done. Everyone knows the rules in football. I don't understand it.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. That's just self-sabotage it is,
Hmm.
ultimately.
And it's a shame because he's a really good player. I like him. I mean, if you were gonna, if you wouldn't say no to him at Man United or Liverpool, would you? I think he'd do well at either. I don't think I'd want to buy him because I don't think he'd improve the team as it is. But I do think he's a very good player who would fit in the team if you had a gap there. I'd put him. I'd be quite happy to sign him.
No, like for Man United,
Yeah.
because we've got a lot of surgery to do on the team. Like if you say like 50 million for Tony or 150 million for Kane, Austin, and
Mm.
the likes, I would say like we can make do with Tony. He's a
Exactly.
very good. He's a complete striker, and then we can also improve the whole team with the rest of the money and all that. But now it's like I don't want the circus around the club.
Yeah, it's avoid it, innit? Yeah, you got enough to worry about. What you do with Mason Greenwood?
And apparently, it's also gonna be what? How do you handle Adrian Rabiot and his entourage?
Sorry, what's that?
Adrian Rabiot and his entourage. How do
His
you deal
mother.
with that as
Yeah,
well?
his mother. That's the problem. I'd be. It seems a strange choice. He's a Liverpool fan, but his mother's a bit of a.
Oh
His. Did you not know that?
no! I just saw the Young Player of the Season nominees and it's featured Alexis McAllister.
Alexis Mc.
I thought
Oh,
I thought he was like close to 25 again, just like Sancho.
no, I thought he was 23, but I thought 23 was the cutoff. Maybe it's.
No, I think it's too much now. It's getting too old. It
Hmm.
has to be like you have to be 21 at the start of the season and not more. That should be it.
Yeah, that should be it for the young player, but he
He's
used to always be.
24.
Yeah, he used to be
Oh, come
23. He
on.
must be 23 at the start of the season. But yeah, I
No,
wouldn't.
that's too
That's what I
much.
mean. I think it's too old for him to be classed
Yeah.
as a young player of the season. I think that's a strange, very strange one. Even though I do like him as a player, I don't think that's
No,
a.
you can like someone who's 27 as well.
Yeah,
It's not,
exactly. I don't think it's relevant. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not really. He's not a young player. You can't have him. It just makes a bit of a mockery of it, doesn't it? If he wins it, no matter how well he's played.
no, he won't. He won't win. The winner is very clear and obvious.
Haaland.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say if Haaland's in there, he's got to be the winner, hasn't he? He'll win Player of the Season as well, obviously.
yeah, but like back to McAllister, you wouldn't say like, oh, he's a young player when you're describing him. Like
No.
you're gonna say like he's a player with a lot of like he's a player. If you're gonna sign him, you're gonna say like, oh, you're gonna sign a player who's entering his peak years and all that. Young is not a word I would come like. It's just like say describing Allardyce as humble.
Yeah. It's
You give me 100 opportunities, that's not the word I come up with.
no, you just would. And a young isn't one because he's been there a while as well. So it's not like it's. See, that's the other thing. I think it shouldn't matter. Shouldn't just be age. It should be experience as well. If you've played 6 seasons, then you're not really. How can you be classed as a young player? You've got experience enough to be.
Yeah, I think
You know,
it should be more like you can't have been a previous winner. It has to be 21 at the start of the season, the age cutoff,
yeah,
and it has to be less than 100 Premier League appearances. I think that should be the case.
yeah. I'm with you on that. Well, yeah, see Newcastle are winning. He's just putting out Newcastle are 1-0 up on Brighton. Damn, that's not good. Hopefully Brighton can recover. Um, Last question. How do you see Darwin fitting into the team next year? And how might we set up considering Hakpo is playing so well now? Sorry, did you want to say Hakpo for me?
Yeah,
Considering
Cody Gakpo.
he's playing so well now, Diaz fit and Salah is finding form again. We spent a lot on him. I expect a lot more rotation and different ways of playing from the front line. To be honest, I mean Klopp's already shown that he brought in Jota. No, he'll play Jota when he thinks it'll suit the team, and he won't when he doesn't think it'll suit the team. He'll swap them around a lot more. I think we'll see a bit of rotation from the front three now, and that's where he'll fit in. And I think he'll have a much better season than his second one. But I think he just needs a bit more time. That's all. So yeah, I just see it being a lot more where he'll alter the setup depending on. I don't think Diaz will be able to play every game. I think Salah will be, even though he's finding form again, I still expect him to have a few more times where he's going to be benched a bit more to give him time to recover from matches. Hakpo won't play every game up front. He'll play sometimes. He'll probably play left and right as well, and Nunez will cover Diaz and Hakpo. Yeah, it'll just be. I just expect a lot more rotation in the front few. Jota will be in and out the team as well.
So basically, what you're saying is Nunez doesn't start. Like he's not a nailed on starter.
I don't think any of them will be nailed on, to be honest, next season apart from Salah. Right now, Hakpo would be because he's performing, he's looking good, and Salah is turned it around and is starting to look like the player. I mean, he got a hat trick of assists last game, and that he's starting to look like himself again. So I think those two
You don't have
start
an
to
option
click.
on the right for Salah.
Doak will be 18 though by then, so I expect him to come in more. Jota, even though I don't rate him, I expect him to probably have a few games there. So I don't expect Salah won't rest much anyway. It'll only be the odd game here and there. You know what I mean? But I do expect him to try and get Doak in a bit more cup games and that. And I think Nunez will be a rotation option rather than a first choice. Yeah. But so will Jota. So will I don't expect Diaz to play every game. He may be recovered, but it's a long-term injury. He's going to need a bit of managing to ensure it doesn't any recurrence happen. So I'll just be a lot of rotation, I think. And sometimes I expect Hakpo to play even behind him and play a front four in some games. I know Klopp likes that system when it's up against certain teams. So,
And it seems like Klopp is really impressed with Gakpo overall, not just
Hakpo's been
on. Yeah,
exceptional, and I know Billy doesn't like him. I don't know why. He's not flashy. Maybe that's what it is. He doesn't look like he doesn't do like he doesn't do like Anthony lots of step overs. He doesn't, but he does. He just contributes. You know what I mean? He's effective rather than being flashy, and I like that. I prefer that in a player, to be honest. I like him a lot. He's really impressed me. He's much better than I thought he would be.
like he's basically hit the ground running.
Yeah, though he didn't impress. First off, people were moaning about him, but
Yeah, but like in 1 or 2 games, like everyone is allowed to have some. Like what I'm trying to say basically is like Nunez has had to have a season of bedding in. Gakpo hasn't. He's a
yeah,
nailed on. Like at this moment in time, he's a nailed on starter, right?
yeah, he has to be because he's performing. I mean, and Nunez has done really well. He's caused problems. He's getting himself into positions. Yes, he hasn't scored as many as he should, but he's still young. He's raw. I still expect him.
I think he's exciting. That's
Yeah.
that's always in. He's very like his box office fight.
Mm.
Tune in to watch him.
Yeah,
You never know what you're gonna get. And I think like there's a very good player in him.
Well, when he's on form, I mean, he rips teams apart, and then just at the last second, he seems to just miss hit the shot or something. But I think that will come in time as he gains experience and you gain composure, and I think
I
he'll
think
get better.
that's the thing. I think he just needs to calm himself.
Mm.
He just needs to learn to calm himself down a bit.
Yeah, and that'll come. He, he's he's got it. He just needs time. But problem is, patience isn't something in big supply in football these days, is it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, like it's not completely unnatural for a fan base to expect a very big season from a like almost a
Major
record
striker.
signing was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big money signing, but it was an odd signing, it must be said. But it turned out to be, but like yeah, it's just an odd signing when we end up buying Hakpo as well in the same season when we needed midfield that summer. But yeah, it's you know what I've got to say is Jones. I mean, he was the butt of all the abuse for a long time, and he's really starting to impress now, which I'm glad to see because I like him a lot, and I've said that for a long time. I think he's a very good player, and just needed to run a game, stay fit. Just whether he can stay fit now again is the issue.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah. Just quickly, I was asking about Mason Greenwood. What do you think will happen with him?
Now what do I think?
Yeah, what do you think?
I
Not
think I
not
think
what would you
we're in
do. What do you think will happen?
I know. I think we're in a very hard place, like how to
Mm,
deal with it.
exactly.
Because the concerned authorities, the law enforcers, and all those things, they basically dropped the case. The accusers have taken a step back and all those like, yeah, whatever happened has happened. The thing is, a lot of a lot of the fan base, including myself, have made up our mind one way or the other.
Mm,
And for some, there is no winning back. I'll be honest, at this moment, there's no winning back. Greenwood can go on and score hat tricks for Man United in the Champions League final, and there's still gonna be a part of me that's just never gonna be happy about it.
Hmm. Yeah, I can
But
understand.
but but the club cannot run an emotion like that.
No, that's true.
And I've said it before, like what if just being accused of something is gonna get you into so much trouble and so much, then who's to say like next season there's not gonna be someone else from supporting someone, some other club, or maybe someone paid someone to do something like that, accuse
Hmm.
someone of
Exactly.
wrongdoing and all that, and then it basically breeds cancel culture if
Hmm.
you just you start canceling people for being accused of something.
The only thing,
Innocent, yeah, innocent till proven guilty is how
yeah,
is the backbone of the law system, right?
yeah, correct. The only issue I can see would be um, his lifestyle anyway was a bit of an issue. Anyway, before that, he's liked to party. You know, he was getting
No,
himself into a
he's been a troublemaker.
yeah,
It's well known.
yeah, exactly. He's been a problem anyway, and his relationship with a lot of his teammates was also in the gutter anyway. So there's a lot more to think of than for a Manchester United point of view. There's a lot more to think of than just the damage it could do to their sponsorship reputation, and that you've also got to think even if you say we're going to take the chance, you've also got to look at when you're saying whether you're going to take the chance on him. I mean, you've also got to look at whether he can fit into the team you've got, whether he's got the right professional attitude to fit in with the team, or whether you've got to look at it and say, okay, he might, whether he's innocent or guilty is not the point. Point is, he doesn't fit what we're trying to do here anyway. Even if he's innocent, he's got the wrong attitude. He's the wrong type of player. He doesn't get on.
That he isn't.
He's a good
He's
player.
not the
Yeah,
wrong.
well, you can't argue with
He's
that.
not
It's
the wrong
it is
type
what
of
it is.
player.
It's a shame.
That is where all of the issues stems from. If he
Yeah,
was a hopeless player, then
exactly.
it would have been an easy answer to get rid.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just going through. You've got to look at all these things. It's not just about the accusation and whether he was found not guilty. So the club should, in theory, have an easy answer. They should just be bringing him. Should just be able to say, well, he wasn't found not guilty. What am I
Yeah,
saying?
not guilty.
He
Not
wasn't
guilty. Give him a
found
chance.
guilty. Yeah, this is the problem is that it was just dropped. That means he's left in limbo because he wasn't found innocent. He was just, yeah, it was just dropped, and that's left it leaving a bit of a, oh, you know, it hasn't, it hasn't closed the book properly. So, yeah, and then his attitude, etc. It leads you to a point where you've got to think, is he suited to an Eric Ten Hag team with the attitude he's got? And I'm not sure he is. I'm not sure that he's really someone that you can afford to keep at the club either way. Forget what he's done. I think he's just someone you'd have to move on anyway for the good of the club.
Yeah, like you also touched upon, like how is his reputation and his relation with the dressing room? To is he gonna be accepted easily into the room? Are there players? Are there members in the dressing room that have more the inclination like myself, like I don't want anything to do with him, or is it like, oh, we always thought he was gonna come up with a without many charges against him, and do they back him or do they not back him essentially?
But it was a bit of a he was being already even before all this came out. It was well known he was seen as toxic in the dressing room anyway, and didn't get on with in particular Rashford and him were supposed to
Yeah,
be
like
bickering constantly.
there are rumors, like Rashford was one of the guys that
Yeah,
helped leak the
exactly.
audio. I don't know how true it is. I would like to believe it isn't, but
Mm.
the relationship wasn't all roses and sunshine. That is for sure.
No, he certainly isn't. He certainly isn't everyone's cup of tea, and that's what I'm thinking is probably the biggest issue that's got to be solved is that he's not very liked, and while you can get away with that if your team's winning and he's playing well, the minute he has a bad game, especially with all this on top of it being and his attitude, his drinking, his party lifestyle, and that. It's, to me, he's the kind of player he's going to have his career either way. I think he's one of those. He reminds me of Francis Jeffers, to be honest. Great ability, but the attitude stinking, absolutely honking, and his career will be short. He'll never reach the heights he should have done. For me, that's what I think, and I think that would have happened regardless of this. I don't think this altered it. In fact, if anything, this might have given him a chance to think about things and turn over a new leaf and actually, find that like being away from the game enhances his love for it, and so he comes back and he tries a bit harder, works harder on his game and concentrates more on that, and it actually gives him a chance of going further than he would have done before it happened. Does that make
Well,
sense?
apparently, yeah. But apparently, he's getting married to the
Yes.
accuser.
Yeah, that often happens. I mean, whether it's abusive relationships or not, it often happens that, like, when these kind of things happen. I mean, look at that guy the American guy American coach who kicked his wife.
Berhalter.
Yeah, Beholter kicked his wife, whatever it was, assaulted his wife and found guilty, but they ended up married and they've been married for years. It doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. It doesn't. It's relevant. Women and abused parties can be very forgiving, which is why they end up abused in the first place, because they keep accepting it and accepting the sorries. Uh, so yeah, that doesn't tell you anything about the situation between them or whether he's guilty or not. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd do if I was Man United, but personally, for me, I'd say I'd be looking to sell him, move him on. Like I said, there's so many, he's so many attitude problems that he would have been someone I would have been looking to get rid of anyway, no matter how good he was.
Well, maybe we can try and loan him out.
Mm,
The issue is who's gonna come in for him. That's also another problem. If
um,
you want to sell him, there has to be a buyer for you to try and sell him.
there's a lot of clubs around the world that wouldn't care about things like that. I mean, you go to Brazil, they don't care, do they?
Yeah, but is there a Brazilian club that's gonna come in for him?
No, but I'm just saying there's always options if you're going to loan him out. You could find someone just to get him back to get him back to match fitness. Surely he'd want to. Depends on that. I mean, this is it. It's up to he's at the point now where it's up to him how hard how much he wants it to come back, because he's got to show the right attitude and work hard and force his way in and prove he's not the person that it was claimed, and rebuild his own career now. And this is where you find out what kind of person he really is.
Yeah, he gets to. Probably gets another chance to
Do you think he will?
realize
Do
his brain.
you think
I
he
don't
will
think
at
at
United?
no, not at United. I don't think he'll get another chance at United.
Yeah, I think that the fact that they've been so busy desperately trying to recruit another striker suggests that he's not seen as the option, is he?
Like I was checking how long his contract has to run, and it's still 2 more years after the summer.
So, yeah.
So maybe if there is no potential buyer, try to move him on loan, see how it goes, see how he is like received amongst the football supporters.
Yeah, yeah,
Because that's also a factor. Like for the first few games at least, he's gonna get all kinds of abuse thrown at him.
yeah. And how he responds to it,
Yeah,
especially like you look at when Beckham got abused after that World Cup in '98, and he suffered so much abuse. I mean, some of it was absolutely disgraceful. And how he responded was by just getting his head down and working harder. That's the way to answer it.
yeah. That's always the best answer. Let your game do the talking.
Yeah, trouble is most don't seem to think like that, do they?
Oh, just as we talk, we can come up to talking. Deserve has been talking to the media again. Surprise, surprise.
Who?
Roberto Deserve,
Right, yeah.
and didn't he just basically confirm like both McAllister and Caicedo are gonna leave in the summer?
Did he? I didn't see that.
Yeah, he basically confirmed like, yeah, they're possibly gonna go to a bigger club and like they're gonna bring in a lot of money and all that.
Hmm. He talks too much, that guy. That word bothers me.
Some things are better left unsaid,
Exactly. Things like that are, especially if you want the biggest, the best money you can get.
especially if you are trying to compete for top four, top six positions in the league as well.
Yeah, right now, you keep your mouth shut and stuff like that, and concentrate on. We'll just worry about getting into try and get into the European
Yeah, just say
places.
like, yeah, yeah, just say like the season is yet to end. Who knows if we get European football, then
Yeah, maybe they'll
they're
want to
gonna,
stay.
yeah, they want to stay. They want to like complete their journey, their fairy tale here.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Who's to say like if Brighton get to the Champions League, that McAllister doesn't give them another year, like
exactly.
Caicedo doesn't give them another year.
I mean, he's a shy lad as well, McAllister.
Mac, yeah,
So
Big Mac.
he's not he's not uh, pushy sort. So they probably could have convinced him. But if he's come out and said that, that's almost like saying, "Yeah, fuck off then, lad." Isn't it?
Oh, another goal, another goal.
Is it?
Brighton concede again.
Oh, Jesus. Oh well. It was a nice dream while it lasted. Still, it's not over, I suppose, yet, because Man United could still lose theirs. But
No, but I would
it
have
was
preferred
always
Newcastle to
wishful
not
thinking.
win. Even I would have preferred Newcastle to lose or even draw, and then we can get above them in the
Exciting.
table and all.
Well, it'd just be exciting as well, wouldn't it, for the final day? You want to be going into it where every team's got something to play for, really.
Yeah, you want a situation where like one team scores and then three teams are getting sad, and then another team scores and then everybody joyous, and then you want drama basically. You just don't want
Yeah.
it to end before
But it
it's
doesn't
all
look
over.
like it's going to happen, does it, sadly? Season's going to be. I
No,
mean,
it
the
doesn't.
Man City have already won it, basically. And now it looks like the top four's going to have been decided.
And there's even a chance the relegation places get decided by the end of this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, could easily do that, couldn't it? Such a shame. Oh well. But the final day of the season could be a bit of a damp squib then. And not why do people say damp squid? I mean, surely that's
I don't
self-evident
know
that
what
it's
it
not
is.
going to be a damp squid as like anything, because if a squid's not damp, it'll be dead. Uh,
So
Strange.
like
Right. Anyway, I think we've pretty much fit. I can't see anything else we've got to talk about apart from obviously the PSG thing. But I think we can leave that till the summer, can't we?
Yeah,
And do that,
yeah,
and then
that's for when we don't have too much to talk about.
yeah, I think that's a good topic for the summer when everything's quiet. So I think we're going to call it here now. So thank you for
Yeah, see
listening.
you next
Sorry about all
Thursday.
the technical problems, but we know whose fault that was, and it wasn't mine. Just like to say. So see you next Thursday, and thanks Seamus, and sorry about Billy not
Thanks,
turning
Billy.
up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Billy.
Could have done with him earlier, but yeah, thanks anyway. Take care. See you next Thursday.
Could have really done with him.
For once.